never popped a Molly, but if I ever catch Mac, I'ma pop a Holly. I don't even rob a cop the Harley. Blowing so much green, I shame Marley. Yeah, I push the line to its full limit. Hit the hole like 22, boy, I'm a young Emmett. Nothing go like snow, now that's a cold image. Still whistling, sending, knocking them white women. Only reason I do it to avenge Emmett. To the day they go before they knock me out. Knowing me, it don't matter, I simply change my route. On my hobby.
West. Welcome to the Damu Kiwe Conversations. Hip hop, the culture, and reality. See, this over here, we ain't about no rumors. You know what I'm saying? We ain't about smutting somebody who ain't got it coming. We call ball's a ball, a strike's a strike. This is the Damu Kiwe Conversation. What I don't get, hold on, let me see this. What I don't get, oh, wait, wrong one. Let me do this one. What I don't get is how is part of CS2 back media team gonna talk his paperwork and clear him of anything. The fix is in. Hey, Mike B, look, bro, bang that like button on your way in. The fix is in. CS2 back saga. Exposed in Big U paperwork. Bang that like button. When the people get up in here, we gonna go live. I'm opening up Clubhouse right now. Anybody want to run the play the audio on Clubhouse so they can hear? Because I'm gonna keep my headphones on for this one. We gotta really get deep down. We gonna break down all the paperwork, CS2 back paperwork. You know what I'm saying? We gonna play Mark Stevens interview. Oh, we gonna fry CS2 back up today. Bang that like button. Exposed in Big U paperwork. I thought Wack said that he didn't talk to them to the FBI, but now we found out that he talked to the FBI in Big U paperwork, huh? Specifically in Big U paperwork. That's why they got that in there. Hey, move! Don't start that. I just took you to use the bathroom. It's 4:20. So we finna open this Clubhouse room right about now. Let me send this to the chat. Anybody who could play audio right now, pull up. I just opened the room, boom, and let me fix the audio quality so that they can hear me talking. If I see anybody down there, oh, I gotta put the live link up in there for people who might want to come straight to oh, here I come. Hold on 1 second, kill it. Hold on 1 second. You know what I'm saying? Here I come right now. I was grabbing the link. Big Chevy, salute. So we finna put this link up. You know what I'm saying? Bang that like button if you on YouTube, man. Salute to the good people on IG. IG was going crazy the other day. I ended up.
You know, it's been a minute.
I can't hear you.
I said, you know, it's been a minute since I've been on here, man.
Oh, yeah, man. Me too. I ain't really been on here. You know, I'll be more on YouTube, running the content on YouTube. You know.
I know. I see your numbers and shit going up. Your subscribers. Hey, you know what you should have done? Though, do something.
Yeah, not right now, though. We live, bro. I don't want to have that conversation. We finna get to the content. We can have that conversation after the live. We got a lot of content to run. Nina 13, salute.
Salute, dudes.
Hey, my Shaq sextape, they was blaming everything on Stutterbox. When y'all come in, hit that like button. Binky Mac, Duse M to done. Hashtag ETE exposes hashtag ETD expose the debriefers. Oh, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do that if we don't do nothing else. You know what I'm saying? Well, get to a BNAG. You know what I'm saying? That's always first. Muddy Waters, family in the mirror. Shout out to the Blue Rinse Mob, always on their job. I see y'all in the chat. Nino Black, salute Deuce. About time, old man. Deuce, my brother from another, man. Salute to you, brother. Black Cash Dreams. Salute to you, brother. I salute to everybody in the chat. We definitely going to get into this content. My guy, Street Certified News. Shout out, Chi-Town. Ain't going to let a country nigga get nothing. Nothing. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the Shy, man. This good folks right here, man. My boy, Street Certified. My bad. Y'all couldn't even hear me. Hold on. My bad. Let me fix this. Bang that like button coming in. We got the content. And y'all didn't know? Well, now you do. Let's go.
What's going on? I'm Larry Hoover Jr. and I'm rocking with Street Certified News.
WACK100 and Lee Cannon and Big U Paperwork. Let's get to it.
Oh, yeah, y'all already know what it is, man. I'm rocking with Street Certified News. You got behind the scenes, man. We're going to tie this bitch up.
What up, this your boy, Mom J. We rocking with Street Certified News.
YG.
And Street Certified News, man. Shout out Big Bo. Shout out Walker.
Certified, man.
Yo. It's your boy Mixo Guapo, man. Street Certified News. And we back with another one.
Man, if y'all can't hear it on here, it's because we on live.
Viewer. You know what I'm saying? Y'all always rocking with us, man. Y'all always keeping the channel lit. You know what I'm saying? This week's story, we wanted to really break down, everything that's been going on with this Big U case.
I can't hear you.
From the title, during our investigations.
I'm playing it, but you ain't gonna be able to hear it here only on YouTube. Unless y'all want to play it in here, I can't play it.
Is alleged.
I got my headphones on.
And a number of men out of Los Angeles, including boy Brick Baby Zaire Mitchell. They're all under arrest and facing a myriad of charges from racketeering to extortion to murder. So, we always want to let the public know. I know a lot of these channels don't do this, but, you innocent until proven guilty, not the other way.
I can't hear y'all on Clubhouse. I turned the volume all the way down.
Looking at the story and looking at the case and looking at how they was trying to build a case against Big U as far back as 2019. A lot of this story really got started in 2021 with the death of Rayshawn Williams, a unique music artist, one of Big U's artists. And man, the FBI used a lot of different tactics to build information, and they never really got that smoking gun. But I believe through all of these little tidbits, and mostly through cooperating witnesses and witness interviews, in which the boy WACK100 name is all in the paperwork as one of their main witnesses. When you look at the paperwork and it shows witness interviews, he's the first and only name mentioned. And then there's a whole paragraph about, what he told the feds. If y'all could hit that like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, man. When we ask y'all to like the video, y'all go crazy, and it always pushes the video up higher in the algorithm. So although I know some people like, hey, man, just go ahead and tell us the story, it literally makes the video do better right before, at the beginning, when we be like, hey, man, just like the video. So again, man, hit that like, comment, subscribe.
Hit that like, comment, subscribe.
Man, I don't know.
Let's get the good people in here.
Like I said, we took our time. I really could have dropped this video like last week. I don't
know what's up with my Wi-Fi every time I go live. That's crazy.
Out of town, I had some other stuff I was doing, and I also just wanted to kind of give it some time. I'm surprised nobody else has kind of jumped out with this. Man, shout out to my boy Duse M, man, from Active Chucks. We sat down, we talked to him. We also reached out to that boy 600. Originally, he had agreed to do an interview, but once it was that time, we never heard back from him. Either way, man, with no further ado, this week's story, man. How the boy WACK100 and Loose Cannon cooperated with the FBI in this Big U Rolling 60s RICO case, man. Hey, with no further ado, man, let's get right to it. On March 27th, 2025, the United States Attorney's Office would indict prominent Los Angeles businessman Eugene Big U Henley and a number of men connected to the Rolling 60s Crip organization, including Zaire Mitchell, aka Brick Baby, Sylvester Robinson, and Mark Martin, aka Bear Claw, the owner of an auto body shop the feds believe to be the principal target location for Big U in his enterprise's business operations.
On April 7th, Wisconsin is showing up to vote. Your neighbor.
My thing is messing up every time I come out. Y'all get on them and stay on them and hit that like button in the chat, man. Let's get back to the content, though.
In March of 2025, these men, along with others, would be indicted for racketeering, wire fraud, firearm possession, drug possession, and conspiracy to commit murder. Included in those arrested would be Tremaine Ashley Williams, a 42-year-old man who until recent months was not under investigation or a part of the Rolling 60 structure outside of a loose familial affiliation. Tremaine Williams, aka Loose Cannon, would essentially be a nobody until early March 2024, when he would appear as a guest of WACK100 on the No Jumper podcast and make claims that Big U had a hand in the shooting death of popular rapper and Rolling 60s member Nipsey Hussle. Although it would seem that this is the starting point of the investigation into Big U and the Rolling 60s Crips, the government had already been investigating the group since the 2021 death of unique music rapper Rayshawn Williams. On the morning of January 25th, 2021, detectives with the North Las Vegas Police Department discovered the body of Rayshawn Williams lying in the desert near the Apex landfill in North Las Vegas, Nevada. Williams had been shot multiple times and his body had been dragged and left in a ditch not far from Interstate 15. Hours before the homicide, Williams had been seen at Jamal Rashid's studio, a studio closely associated with Big U Henley. According to a witness identified as Witness 1, Henley was one of the last people seen with Williams before the homicide. Witness 1 would also state that Robinson drove Henley to Las Vegas from Los Angeles in a dark gray Lexus. Detectives obtained a court-ordered search warrant for AT&T records for 2 of Henley's telephones for the weeks leading up to the homicide. Based on the information from Witness 1 and analysis of Henley's phones, Henley and Robinson arrived in Las Vegas on January 23rd, 2021. And on January 24th at approximately 7:04 p.m., Henley would arrive at the studio. According to Witness 1, who was most likely the security guard from the studio that night, who had a family in law enforcement and was motivated to give information due to that fact, Henley would return to the studio around 2:30 to 3 a.m. alone in that same dark gray Lexus. That was the catalyst to really get the FBI to start looking into Big U. Like they had already kind of been looking at him for maybe some extortion as far back as 2019, but that 2021 murder, man, really kind of got the ball rolling on this FBI RICO and murder case.
504.
When we get down to Witness 1 is the person, like, he was in the studio clearly, and then they say Witness 1 is associated with the studio and has a criminal history that include a 2020 misdemeanor for soliciting prostitution. You know, he nigga live in Vegas. I don't know how you catch a prostitution charge. Your ass live in Vegas. That's crazy.
Right, where prostitution is legal, so he on Tropicana dealing with the low budget hoes. You know, he dealing with the low budget hoes, low end, not even the the $200 escorts. He trying to spend 50 or 40. You know,
I see. And then they also said that Witness 1 was motivated to cooperate because he has a family member who works for law enforcement.
Right.
So like you said, chances are that's probably like a security guard or somebody like that who has a close ties to law enforcement that was motivated to cooperate in that situation.
But also remember this, bro. He's out in Vegas working security at the studio. Mind you, they said that he drew down on Big U and them when Big U and them put up to Marley Marl house. Marley Marl wasn't home, right? But they come there to come use the studio. Marley Marl's not there. They or whatever.
See, I ain't know that. So you saying all of this allegedly
Marley got his video took down, I bet. Yeah, this is Marley Marl.
So in November of 2022, a federal judge will authorize a wiretap on 2 of Big U's phones, as well as 2 other phones that they believe were connected to some of Big U's associates. And in February of 2023, North Las Vegas PD detectives would attempt to interview Big U unsuccessfully when they literally drove all the way to Los Angeles and knocked on his door on or about February 14th, 2023 at approximately 12:05 p.m. Henley, who was now using Target Telephone 1, placed a call to Mark Martin, who was using Target
Clubhouse
Telephone
Crazy
4.
TV. Salute.
During the call, Henley would tell Martin that he wanted to meet with him at the Target location. During the conversation between Henley and Martin, the death investigation of Rayshawn Williams would be brought up and mentioned that it was around the 2-year anniversary and that detectives wanted to follow up to talk to everyone who was close to the rapper.
Damn, bang that like button. This is nasty work, bro.
They will kill you March 27th.
Nasty
Never
work, but it's finna get nastier because Wack said he never talked to the feds. He ain't got nothing to do with Big UK's. Well, we gonna talk about this.
In July 2022, paperwork would claim in the witness interview section that the FBI Houston division would interview Cash Jones, also known as WACK100. The FBI, who believes that their interview was recorded and posted to YouTube the next day, interviewed Cash Jones about his association with Big U. The paperwork also mentions that prior,
they say they interviewed Cash Jones about his relationship with Big U. So when WACK100 released parts of the phone conversation with the FBI, that was the throw off. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't hear them mention Big U name not once. Not once. He made it seem like the call was only about Jay Prince. Unbeknownst to us, Big U had just arrived in Texas at Jay Prince's home. While at Jay Prince's home and in Texas, FBI agents took a water bottle that Big U drank out of the trash to compare that DNA to the DNA of RW dead body in Vegas. And they called Cash Jones to talk about his relationship with Big U. You ain't got to believe me. This is in the word. So why would Wack only put out part of the conversation? Why wouldn't WACK100 want to clear itself? While I did talk to him, but here's everything. So if I told y'all witnessed that I didn't tell. Why? Make it make sense. We're going to get to CS2 back in a minute. Let's go.
Interview attempts by the North Las Vegas PD in 2021 were unsuccessful, and that the subject Big U had learned about those interview attempts from other associates. It is also stated that witness interviews, specifically the only one named in the paperwork, aka the interview with WACK100, led to direct confidential human sources being brought into the case.
Ain't that like button? Hype me up, bro.
In this section of the paperwork, it explains that investigators have already conducted interviews during the investigation, and that those interviews have helped gather information about Big U's involvement
Tried to get in front of it
and in collecting extortion payments. Some interviews also led to recruiting confidential sources used in the case. However, the document states that these confidential sources have taken the investigation as far as
now. Not only did WACK100 interview it, his interview led to other confidential human sources. WACK100 is recruiting rats. That's what I'm interpreting to mean. And one of the rats that he's recruiting to work was Dale Morrison. Another rat that he's weaponized and used to work was Tremaine Ashley Williams, a.k.a. the fake loose cannon, a.k.a. loose coochie Ashley, a.k.a. loose the lie ability, most known for his ability to lie. Let's get back to the content. This is nasty work. This is nasty work.
They can and have not been enough to meet prosecutorial goals. If you go back and read about CHS3, aka Loose Cannon, the contents closely mirror this exact conclusion.
So CHS3 did not have access, had limited access to the rolling 60s, and it looks like he was unable to be used for the investigation because he provided extensive assistance for another FBI investigation back in June of 2019. His assistance is widely suspected among multiple gangs in the Los Angeles area.
Didn't everybody already think that he was a rat last night on that content, or was it this morning? I recorded it yesterday. When he was on No Jumper, he said, fuck it, nigga. Nigga said, I'm a rat, so I'm going to expose his ass, cuz. So Loose Cannon, people already suspected Loose Cannon was working. Big U already suspected Loose Cannon was working. Let's go.
Able to testify about the information he has already provided. So it looks like CHS3 received monetary compensation for his or her assistance with another FBI investigation. He also received monetary compensation for his or her assistance with the FBI's investigation into the rolling 60s. CHS3 has a criminal history that includes stalking, possession of a controlled substance, and domestic violence. He has also provided information to the California Department of Corrections.
He was a jailhouse snitch.
Did you lose a lot of money sports betting on DraftKings or FanDuel?
Hold on.
You may.
Although the feds have been collecting information on potential extortion and racketeering since as early as 2019, witness one would be the first cooperating witness, most likely the security guard in the Las Vegas studio from 2021. CHS1, a former drug dealer / pimp, would give information on the cannabis shop and extortions from Big U. CHS2, most likely a prostitute who worked for CHS1, was used to record phone calls after CHS1 became nervous about recording conversations himself. CHS3, most likely Loose Cannon, was arrested for stalking and domestic charges with ties to Riverside, California. The FBI claims after this initial information gathering from CHS3, he became unable to collect further information after the streets began to believe he was an informant, which we believe led to his public statements against Big U with WACK100 on No Jumper. And then we have WACK100, who through his own admittance spoke with federal authorities about both J. Prince Sr. and Big U. Also, per the paperwork, his witness interview potentially led to the FBI using CHS3, aka Loose Cannon, who had already been working for the feds on a separate case dating back to 2019. When looking at all this information and the public statements made by both WACK100 and Loose Cannon, the truth begins to become clearer. In an attempt to collect more information on crimes allegedly committed by Big U in the rolling 60s, the FBI utilized all measures. They would first interview Rayshawn Williams' family, then authorize 4 phone intercepts. When that wasn't enough, they would solicit cooperation from gang members against the enterprise. Finally, when that wasn't enough, they would use people like Loose Cannon to make outrageous claims that have never been proven or even.
So the feds employed all of these means of attacking Big U. What other gang members have you seen attack Big U? Let's get to talking about them. Because these gang members ain't attacking them physically. They're attacking them with open source intelligence on the internet. The way we watch Loose Cannon do on No Jumper and DJ Academics. The way we watch WACK100 and 600 do for 2 to 3 years on Clubhouse and YouTube. The way we watch a lot of these other YouTubers follow their trend and attack Big U. Marathon Kev, Demon Time Exotic, Rick Rock, Nina Boy. We could go on and on and on. How many times we seen clickbait titles, Rich Trapper, or my bad, Rich Grinder, constantly attacking Big U online. But not one of them cowards pulled up on that man and verbalized having a real problem with him. So this is what the tactics the FBI was using. This is the new COINTELPRO. And it's right before y'all eyes. Y'all wouldn't think that they would be that flagrant, that blatant. But we're in the paperwork when it says they utilize other Crips to attack them, to sensationalize and attach his name to crime. That federal tactic utilized vloggers and YouTubers, Depth of the Clout Chaser TV, Prince from the Exposers, Ghosts from the Exposers, and any one of y'all that allowed him on y'all platform back on Fig, No Jumper. Any one of y'all hear me? My bad. Y'all couldn't even hear me, huh? Southern Force, salute.
Salute. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Was you able to hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, but they probably wasn't because it mutes my mic whenever I go. I was going to go make sure that the thing wasn't playing.
Yeah, they heard you on Clubhouse because I'm in Clubhouse as well.
Okay, cool. So yeah, man. Let's go back to what I was saying. Make sure everybody understood because it's very important. When the paperwork said that the Federal Bureau of Investigation talked to the family of RW, they probably interviewed RW family. And then they said they used Crips as a tactic to attack Big U. Nobody physically put their hands on Big U. So it's evident that they're talking about attacking Big U. Oh, yeah, I went out. Attacking Big U online with open source intelligence, implicating Big U in crime. Compton Rick Rock, you're guilty of doing this. I looked at you crazy. Nina Boy, I looked at you and some of the shit you pushed out there. That was crazy. WACK100, Depth of the Clout Chasers, Cheeseburger, Bad Luck Cheeseburger Chuck, Ghost from the Exposers, Prince from the Exposers, Demon Time Exotic, almost all the top media Jeezy Miyake, Jeezy Teriyaki. I done seen each one of these channels. No Jumper, DJ Academics, Back on Fig. I done watch all y'all with that fuck shit. Not doing no research. And it's a thin line between running content and slandering and implicating a man in crime while he's under investigation. Y'all know better than WACK100 and Loose Cannon. For a profit, y'all knew what they were doing. Black Sam propagating as if it was some issue with DJ Khaled. Remember the interview Black Sam did with Big Boy, insinuating that there was a lineup and because people was hating on them because they had brought DJ Khaled to the Hood Fox. Salute, bro. So you insinuate that niggas was hating on that and that's part of the reason Nip got killed? Come to find out, nigga come back because of some fuck shit you did, starting shit with a killer. You beat him and put him in the hospital. But you had a new documentary coming out, right? He had that new documentary with LeBron James. He had the first Marathon Burger opening up. So if you want to get in the algorithm, you could build your page attacking the big bad wolf. Big U. The boogeyman. Lucifer. Or like the Crip cops say, Lucifer. Just blame everything on him. Yeah, he's under investigation. He ain't gonna do nothing. He ain't gonna do shit. The feds is on him. Crackhead Eddie. RICO the Rat Rod Gay, who narrates murder scenes implicating Big U in it. This is nasty work, bro.
Indeed, it is. Indeed.
All dudes who contribute to that fuckery is just as guilty as CS2 Back and Loose Coochie Ash. You got to say something before we finish this video?
Man, this is fucked up, man. When I heard the situation on Big Sam, how the hell you sit around and basically get your brother caught up in this bullshit because of your fuckery, and then now that really just eating off his name. Fuck it, I'm gonna call a spade a spade. You eating off his name, but yet he get caught up in your fuckery when his career is shooting up to the moon. This is nasty work, dudes. I don't even know what to say about this one. This is crazy. Your own brother.
Oh, the weirdo Rich Dollar 6'4"? Yeah, he was another one. I thought he was from neighborhood. He might be working for the neighborhood watch, nigga, the police department. Dudes is weirdos. But we gonna get this video over with because we finna get into CS2 Back more. Let's go.
Even alleged to get the targets to talk on previously tapped devices, even though all of this was done to collect evidence to indict Henley, Robinson, Martin, Mitchell, and others. Strangely, it would not be until that final indictment that Williams, aka Loose Cannon, would ever be mentioned in the paperwork. During the course of the investigation, he was never mentioned as a target or a subject, not even once. Still, he would be for sure arrested with the group of men he very likely informed upon.
Your health deserves more than guesswork.
My
At
bad.
Fornuvo,
Let me go
our
ahead
whole
and
body
get this
MRI
over with.
scans for hundreds of.
You know what I'm saying? We'll let y'all, you know what I'm saying, digest the story, man. Like we said, man, shout out to my boy Duse M. He really helped me go over CHS1 and CHS2, because you know we didn't want to just jump out there and be like, yo, the boy loose cannon telling. We really wanted to take our time with it. So when you look at CHS1, who ended up being the pimp drug dealer dude who was running the cannabis shops, and you know he was caught for pandering, and then CHS2 was basically one of his females, because I believe that person was caught for like lewd behavior or something like that, and they did say that CHS2 will record things after CHS1 no longer felt comfortable recording. So we kind of know who those two people was. We went over who witness one was, who, like we said, was most likely the security guard at the studio, or the engineer, but most likely the security guard, and he had family and law enforcement. So, you know, he felt the need to tell all the information that he knew, you know, I guess trying to be the police or something. We really wanted to identify all of the cooperating human witnesses. That's what CHS mean, cooperating human witness. We wanted to lay out like every single one of them so that we could identify who CHS3 was. And like we said, CHS3 had ties to Riverside, California. I believe he had like a domestic on his record, and a lot of things that line up with the boy loose cannon. I believe
Dose reality TV salute.
When you see witness interviews and they talk about how the witness interviews were able to secure human witnesses or like human sources, and the only human source that's kind of unaccounted for is CHS3.
Facts.
Which looks like loose cannon. And then you got the boy WACK100, who's named basically right under that statement as the only main witness. So you know, we could put 1 and 1 together. I wouldn't even say it's 2 and 2. You know what I'm saying? We could put 1 and 1 together. This shit equal 2. It's 2 niggas telling. And you know, we've been telling y'all about the boy WACK100, man. And now we just gonna come out there and let y'all know about this boy loose cannon. You see what I'm saying? Hey, it's your boy Himrex El Guapo, man. Street certified news, man. The most reputable source for urban media. Please hit that like, comment, subscribe. We love you, man. We out.
Y'all be sure to go over there and follow my guy, El Guapo, man. Street certified news. Hey, we don't miss, bro. Every time we come, we go viral. I think the last video was 100 and some thousand. The one before that was 100,000. We doing bing-bings around this motherfucker. When we get together, it's like the motherfucking Jaws music come on. When Jaws is coming, you know what I'm saying? We gonna flame some shit up. You know what I'm saying? But the brother, salute to the brother. He did great work. Gangsta Deezy, salute. You know what I'm saying? Sports Universal Live Podcast, salute. You know what I'm saying? All y'all podcasters, make sure y'all tap in because we coming with our app. And we got some incentives for y'all to move over there quick early. So you might want to get in early so you be popping over there, because later on you ain't gonna get them same opportunities, that same look. So let me get to this real quick. You know what I'm saying? So let's go here. So what's good, everybody? Welcome to the Damu Kiwe Conversations. I'm Duse M, the Don. I got my guy Southern Force. Tonight, we are not doing the internet gossip. We're not doing the Clubhouse rumors. Tonight, we are walking through actual investigative documents connected to one of the wildest stories to ever sit in the background of hip-hop industry politics. And that story involves allegations surrounding Robert Ross, Shaquille O'Neal, Mark Stevens, Ray J, and Cash Jones, also known publicly as WACK100, and several individuals alleged to be members of the Main Street Crips. The documents we're looking at tonight come from the LA County Sheriff's Department Major Crimes Bureau. These reports detail an investigation into an alleged kidnapping, robbery, and assault that Ross reported occurred February 10th, 2008 in West Hollywood. Now, before we go further, this is important. These documents contain allegations, witness statements, and investigative notes. They are not courtroom findings, but they do show exactly what investigators were told and how the investigation unfolded. And once you actually read the paperwork, you realize this story is way deeper than what people talk about online. So tonight, we're going to walk through it piece by piece. So before we get to that, let's get to these weirdos on the 100 EBT side. The exposer Prince said that he cleared CS2 back. Well, he cleared WACK100 from being CS2 back. Imagine what kind of cover-up and sham circus court that had to be, right? We got this shit got to be prime time news, man. We finna get to this content that we gonna break down the paperwork, man. Let's get into these weirdos, bro.
Let's go.
Let's start it back over. Look, listen how dumb this dude is. Who is he? First, ain't you from New York, bro? So what you know about what's going on? What insights do you got to what's going on with this case? Have you ever talked to Shaquille O'Neal? Well, what about Ray J? Did Ray J do an interview with you about this? Money Mark? Stutterbox? Dogg, rest in peace. So what insights do you got? Let's see what he's talking about. Let's go.
Everybody memory.
I got you guys. But you guys do remember it though, right? Something going on.
Yeah.
Like that overall case ended up being dismissed, but there is a civil suit against Shaq and Mark Stevens, which we got, right?
Hey,
that's gonna be the
Suzanne.
basis for a lot of what's going on, because I think a lot of people are getting things confused when it comes to these cases, right? It's actually 3 different cases that people are jumping up. But once again, it's the 100 side of business, what we do. We're gonna get the business clear.
Big E, salute.
You heard of CS2 back, right?
Mm-hmm.
You heard of Stutterbox?
Mm-hmm.
You heard of the Main Street Mafia Crips?
Mm-hmm.
But what we don't have is what the public record actually shows with that whole situation. The central question is not just who CS2 back is. The better question is, do we have any public records to prove who the fuck CS2 back actually is? What do they actually allege CS2 back said or did? We're gonna dissect what was pushed through the media, some podcasts. But remember, everything that we got is not going to be actual court record. We're going to separate the two at some point. The public court materials do show that the Main Street Mafia Crips were tied to kidnapping and robbery allegations involving Robert Ross and claims connected to Shaquille O'Neal. Right? Yes, public DOJ materials also show Stutterbox pleaded guilty in a separate federal racketeering and narcotics case involving the 5 Duse Broadway Gangster Crips. And if I'm wrong on that, correct me. Anybody that knows that whole phrase, 5 Duse Broadway Gangster Crips.
What do the 5 Duse Broadway Gangster Crips got to do with the Main Street Mafia Crips? What does that got to do with this? This nigga already started spinning.
Oh, he's telling on somebody. Yeah. That's how.
No. He talking about a case Stutterbox caught later on. I think it was like 2015 or 17.
But why would you bring that shit up?
To spin. The name of this is Clubhouse TV. Spin the block. So they spinning the block with a whole bunch of spin. Let's go.
And we have a 2025 court ruling, a civil case. of one Cash Jones,
Stand
known as
on the
WACK
media.
100,
Salute.
against World Star Hip Hop and the media company for allegations of defamation of him being CS2 back.
Oh yeah, that check just cleared not too long ago, right?
That check just cleared not too long ago, right? This shit sounds staged. First and foremost, how the fuck you know when a check cleared? Nigga, Maria don't know when my motherfucking check's clear. So how the fuck you know when CS2 back check clear? Unless he done showed y'all. Now, if CS2 back want to show his settlement agreement so we know that he got that 6 figures, then that's cool. But it really doesn't matter. See, never in my life have I heard someone be accused of being a snitch. And to clear their name, they sue a corporate entity. See, if you ever been through civil suits, you understand that a settlement doesn't mean that the litigation was any kind of admission of guilt. No, not at all. In fact, most settlements come about and they put in there, this is not an admission of guilt. This is because we believe it's in our interest to get this over with. We don't need the bad press, and we're going to spend more than what we finna give you. These crumbs we going to give you, we going to spend more of that proving that you is a rat. Besides that, don't forget, I'll read that page where World Star Hip Hop said that they believe that the documentary was substantially true, that WACK100 is CS2 back. That was in their court filing. Let's get back to it.
The check is clear. We got the work. We got the work. Now remember, Rose, that's going to be the basis of the defamation case.
Okay, I'll be right? Rose. Yeah, go
Prince
ahead.
of Gobbler.
Sorry, I apologize. I'm looking at my phone right now. That's going to be the actual basis of the defamation case, right? If you say that I'm something, right, and I can prove that because you said that, it's slamming to hurt my business, and it's not true, simple defamation.
That's not how that works, dummy. Watch this. Matter of fact, we finna go to Chat GPT. Watch this. All right, we got all those case laws. We're gonna go to Chat GPT. This is just how stupid this nigga is. He don't know shit. He ain't a lawyer. He ain't a street nigga. He's a gobbler, right? He's a gobbler like CS2 back's merman. You know what I'm saying? With CS2 back's son. Let me see. If Media Lab settled out of court for the defamation civil suit filed by Cash Jones, does that prove that Media Lab, the video, does that prove that the World Star Hip Hop video labeling Cash Jones and alleged informant was a lie? This is how stupid he is, right? Let me cut this off real quick. Stop sharing. This is why you don't go to the 100 EBT dumb side. I talked to Dogg. This is why you don't go over there and get your facts up off the 100 EBT side, right?
Right.
So, look, the first thing it says, look what I said. I said, if Media Lab, let me blow this up for y'all. If Media Lab settled out of court for the defamation civil suit filed by Cash Jones, does that prove that the World Star Hip Hop video labeling Cash Jones an alleged informant was a lie? Let me educate y'all real quick, right? No. A settlement does not prove the allegation was a lie. In U.S. civil law, settlements almost never determine truth or guilt. They almost never determine truth or guilt. They usually happen for practical reasons, like the cost, risk, and time. Let's break it down clearly for the unlearned, right? When a case settles out of court, the defendant here, WACK100, lawsuit against Media Lab AI, the company that owned World Star Hip Hop, agrees to resolve the case privately. There is no judge or jury deciding the facts. The parties usually sign a settlement agreement that explicitly says no admission of liability. Most settlements literally include language like, this settlement does not constitute an admission of wrongdoing. So legally speaking, settlement versus proof the statement was false. Settlement does not equal the proof that the statement was false. While companies settle defamation cases, media companies often settle even if they believe they could win. Common reasons: litigation costs. Defamation trials can cost hundreds of thousands to millions. 2, risk management. Even a weak case can win with the wrong jury. 3, time. Trials can take 2 to 5 years. 4, public relations. A company may want the controversy to disappear. What would actually prove the claim was false? The only things that would legally establish that would be a court verdict finding the statement defamatory and false, a judge's ruling on summary judgment, and documented evidence disproving the allegation. If the case settled, the court never ruled on the truth of the statement. So back to these dumbass 100 EBT, cum guzzling, dick pulling, professional ass lickers. Don't go over there and listen to them. But these niggas, these dick sucking niggas is the ones that's clearing WACK100 from being CS2 back. I wonder if he really got them niggas food, if they really that dumb, or they just
got them food. You know they do.
Some of the dudes that left the 100 EBT side, like when District 13, was it District 13? When they left,
District 13,
yeah, they told me, they like, hey, M, I ain't gonna lie. When you first bust out that paperwork, I knew it was him. I knew CS2 back was him.
That's right.
I'm like, damn, and you didn't, and you stayed over there? You know what I'm saying? So it's some people that know, but they think that he might be able to do something for them, so they still over there Peter buffing.
A lot of people online talk about CS2 back like the identity is already settled. You know they're wrong. But when you slow it down and read the record, you see something different. These are actual real gang cases, real public allegations. They actually have a whole wiretap section and real lawsuits. But as we go through it, you determine who CS2 back is in this information, or if there ever even was a CS2 back.
If there ever was a CS2 back, wait a minute. Did he just say what I thought he said? Hold on.
Yeah, he said that bullshit. Run it back.
That nigga said, or this is the spin, or if there even ever was a CS2 back. That is crazy, bro.
Man,
so now let's stop this right there. I don't even want to hear no shit after I can't even get through this, bro. So CS2
Kool-Aid is real.
Right. All right. So let me give y'all a summary of the case. Cause I put the paperwork into ChatGPT. You know what I'm saying? I put the paperwork into ChatGPT. Y'all want to hear what ChatGPT, how they broke it down? Let's get to it. right? So give me a summary about these Title III wiretaps and the paperwork. So we'll start with the Title III wiretap. The pages you shared, here's a clear investigator summary and teleprompter ready breakdown. So here it goes. Summary of the 3 Title III wiretaps. Wiretap session 18202, August 5th, 2008. The duration of the call was 7 minutes. The intercepted call appears to involve Dogg, Mark Stevens, confidential source number 2, Wack, allegedly referred to as the Wack boy. This is what ChatGPT breaks down the work. Confidential source number 2, Wack, is also referred to as the Wack boy. A discussion about Box, which is the nickname for Robert Ross, Stutterbox. Key points from the transcript. 1, Wack is trying to get Dogg's phone number. Mark Stevens tells Dale that your boy went sour. CS2 Wack wants Dale's phone number. Wack wants to speak directly with Dale because he claims it is important. 2, discussion about Box going sour. The transcript notes Box incident. Box pumped the game. Box went sour. This language suggests a fallout between Robert Ross and individuals connected to the gang. He pumped the game. He fell out. He went and told the police he was kidnapped, robbed, and assaulted. 3, claims the phone lines are compromised. The summary section states, sounds like Wack has info on Box and talks about phone lines being compromised, meaning someone believed that the phones were tapped. Conversations were not secure. 4, Mark Stevens appears involved in gang activity. The transcript summary states, Mark is involved in gang business and operations. This suggests investigators believe Stevens was actively connected to gang operations. 5, 2 messages left on Mark Stevens' phone. The report says 2 messages on Mark's phone. They came from Wack, and that Wack was calling on another line to reach Mark. 2nd document summary. The 2nd document describes the confidential informant CS2 Wack. Key statements. CS2 Wack had limited knowledge of the gang organization. Well, because he's not from Main Street Crips. He was an employee, a security guard for Ray J, and he was hired by Money Mark Stevens. I got the tape where Money Mark described that. He knew something, he knew some criminal activity, but lacked detailed information. Could not identify many gang members from Main Street. Could not explain how drugs were distributed. Could not describe finances or leadership structure, meaning CS2 was not considered a high-level insider. 3rd document summary. This page explains why CS2 would not testify. It says CS2 fears retaliation. If the gang members learn he cooperated, they would likely orchestrate his execution. It also states CS2 can provide limited info about shootings, burglaries, murders. So he could provide limited info. They didn't say he couldn't provide no info. So he could tell them about some shootings. He could tell them a little bit about some burglaries. He could tell them a little bit about some murders. Might not have had all of the info because he's an outsider, but he's been around enough as Stutterbox's neighbor, as Ray J's bodyguard, and an employee of Deja 34 Records to know what was going on with what. But he refuses to testify in court. So, major investigative questions are raised. Your investigation focuses on these key questions. How did Bat know that the phones were tapped? That's the question of the motherfucking day. How did Bat call? Imagine I called you right now, Southern Force. Tell me how you be looking at me. Oh, I say, hey, look, bro. Hey, that nigga Scandalous, he compromised. He went bad. And the phones is tapped. He went bad. The phone's tapped. Nigga, how you know?
You know. There you go.
Nigga, he must have went bad on you, and you got caught up on the phone running your big ass mouth.
And now you compromised. Right.
Exactly. Who
trying to
don't
line
know,
me up.
Right. Who don't know Wack got a big ass mouth? You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the things that they're saying. I'll start that in a minute. Possible explanations, street awareness. Gang members often assume phones are tapped during investigations. Law enforcement leak, someone warned them. 3, experience with prior investigations. Or 4, the call itself sounded suspicious. 2, how did Back know that Box went sour? Oh, the shit. That's another one, right? How did you know that Box went sour? Well, today we know the WACK100 said that Stutterbox told on him, right? He lined them up. Possible meanings. Ross refused to cooperate with him. We know that's a lie. Ross became a liability. I believe that. Ross exposed something. Ross stopped doing business with him. When sour usually means a relationship breakdown. 3, is CS2 actually WACK100 Cash Jones? Your investigation raises this claim based on a statement by Mark Stevens, a statement by Robert Ross, and the nickname Back, Wack Boy. However, the documents themselves do not publicly identify CS2. Confidential sources are normally redacted. Why would someone caught on a federal wiretap avoid charges? Possible legal reasons. Let's start here with Money Mark Stevens. We'll get into those questions later. Let's get rid of them dick riding exposing 100 EBT. It ain't even worth it, bro. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I can't stand here and watch the glazing. I'm not into homosexual activities. That's just not my thing. Now, if that's y'all thing, you know what I'm saying? Feel free to do it in your bedroom, but we don't want to indulge and hear while y'all gleezy guzzling a federal confidential source. Let's go. So y'all want to hear Money Mark? Where we was at? Okay. So at some point you get a phone call from WACK100 Cash Jones, and when he contact you, what did he contact you concerning?
He wanted to reach out to Dogg, rest in peace, and he wanted to give Dogg some information that he had gotten from Stutterbox, right? It's like he was getting information from Stutterbox on what his plan was and what the get down was gonna be, and he wanted to talk to the homie and talk to him, and Dogg wasn't getting on the line with him, and he kept blowing me up because he wanted me to get him on the line.
Smart man. Rest in peace to Del Dog, man. So he's talking about the phone. I don't know how to do nothing else, Suzanne. Is that one of the things that he told you?
Well, the homie Del Dog never trusted dude. You follow me?
Let me go up here because
right. So Dog didn't know was the lines compromised or was they wired up for sound or not. He just wasn't gonna chance it. You follow me? Right. But it was later on. It was later on after they took the case to they was taking it all away because the homie ain't had no choice. You know, he was facing a life sentence, so he had to take it all away. And with all the lawyers that was involved, they was able to get the discovery, and that's when we found out that the lines was compromised.
And as soon when you get the discovery, was part of that the actual wiretaps
the whole transcript. I got the whole transcripts. The whole transcripts of the whole wiretaps.
And do you, in that paperwork, do you see your conversation with Cass Jones in them transcripts?
That was the initiating. That was the initiating when they started recording.
Right. Right. And how did they refer to Cass Jones?
In the paperwork they put him as they put him as Back, BACK. And
correct.
I kept asking the lawyer, like, who the fuck is? I ain't talked to no Back. And they said, nah, that's Wack. But they put him as Back because he a blood. So it's Back. And I said, oh, okay.
And was this Back also referred as confidential source number 2?
Yes, sir.
Correct. Well, man, I'm glad that the truth was able to come out. And it's sad.
But bigger than that, homie, right? You know, I watched dude, man. He said some things about the big homie Shaq, you know, that wasn't true. He said some things like he been trying to destroy the big homie Big U name, and I'm seeing and watching this. And I called the big homie U. We was talking. I said, yo, when you get into Atlanta, man, come see me. Because I had what I had for years. And when I gave it to the homie, I said, man, you read it. Because it was a big-ass textbook of shit. And the homie just sided with what was right. He said, I can't fuck with dude no more. And that was the end of that.
Until Wack started attacking, and that's when Wack started attacking him with false allegations and all of this online weird shit, right?
Correct, because because the homie Big U asked me why I didn't fuck with this nigga, and I said, when you pull up, I'm gonna show you. I want you to read it. And when he read it, he was like, oh, okay, I see why you don't fuck with the nigga. I can't fuck with the nigga. And that was it.
Wait, how long was it from when you first got it that you met you in Atlanta to show him the work?
I got the paperwork from the attorneys probably in, I want to say 12 or 13, because it was a series of, you know, remember the incident happened in 07, 06, 07, but Box had went to prison. He called a drug case, so he went to prison, and they waited to almost the last month of the statute of limitations to go get the homies from Main Street. Right. So it had been about a 5-year period from the time that had happened to the time that they came and got the big homies. And then once how
did you feel about you waiting that long now?
Well, he chastised me, and I never, you know, one of the things, bro, and it's like it's the slippery slope, as people say, right? Like on one end, Wack, the nigga, he wasn't doing no harm, right? He was just trying to move around and be the tough guy. Okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? My whole thing is, okay, that's what you want to do, cool. But then it went from that to I heard what he was saying about the big homie Shaq, and then I heard what he said about Big U, and that's when I picked up the phone. I said, hey, you, man, I want you to read something, man. And then once you read it, once you know, you know. That's Quran. That's the Holy Quran. Once you know, you're accountable for what you know. And when he read it, he said, okay, I see why you don't fuck with dude. I can't fuck with dude. And that was it. Let me tell you something, man. I probably haven't seen nor talked to Wack in years, you know. And, you know, I wish everybody success and happiness, but not on the basis of lies.
Right.
You know,
and
not on the...
and really indicative of your character, Mark, because you have a whole campaign publicly of a brother that's heavy in our community positively, helping get these kids graduated from school and into football and all of these other positive things, and he's smutting his name through the mud just because he decided not to deal with it.
And brother, well put. Look, I call the homie Big U all the time. I call him the naked truth. And he always be like, why you call me the naked truth? I said, because Wack is the well-dressed lie. You know, it's an old parable about truth and lie when swimming. And, you know, lie jumped out the water and put on truth clothes. So you had a well-dressed lie, but then truth got out the water and it was naked. So you got the naked truth that's trying to run down a well-dressed lie. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I mean, you know, it is what it is with the homies.
Well, yeah, man. Well, I know you a businessman and you stay on positive shit, man. I'm sorry that we had to even delve into these negative accusations that got a lot of people, good people, name caught up in it. But we needed to get the truth where truth appears, falsehood disappears, man. And I wanted to hear that for myself, man.
Man, hey, man, I appreciate you, man. And, you know, God bless. But like I said, man, you know, it's a lot of things is just a well-dressed lie. That's all I can say.
Right. And that's what Cass Jones is. He is the well-dressed lie.
Yeah, and Big U is the naked truth. You know, it is what it is. He always stood on the side of truth. He ain't never wavered from that. From the time I gave him that paperwork, I watched him take assault after assault because he just did the right thing. He just said, I can't fuck with you.
And I'm so glad that he ain't responded publicly to these negative lies because he's above that shit. Let him stay low and you just stay high. Don't let this man trick you up off the street or the feeling like you got to address every lie he makes up every day.
Well, and then you got to understand too, bro, it's, you know, like I told you about throwing a rock and hiding your hand. You know, what's the motive for throwing the rock to begin with? Like, we know the rock is being thrown, but what's the motive? Like, you know, like, only thing I saw the homie Big U do, put out a great documentary on hip hop. I see him, man, putting these kids through college and sending them, like, I'm trying to understand what's the motive, or is a motive that we can't comprehend because we don't think on those levels. You feel me?
Hey, that's perfectly said. And I'm gonna tell you this: in all of my life, being from the community of South Central Los Angeles, only time I ever heard of a public artificial dissemination of disinformation was through COINTELPRO and J. Edgar Hoover, man. And I'm just gonna drop that jewel and let you go, man.
Man, I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all have a good day, man.
Likewise, kid.
All right, salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. That was Quan saying salam alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam. Also with me talking to Money Mark Stevens. Now, so he knows the truth of the situation as it relates to CS2 back. But he over there, let me interact with the good people real quick, man. And he's over there sucking off CS2 back, Crackhead Eddie and the rest of them rats over there. Nasty work. Jam Pete, salute. They just be lying, laugh out loud. Oh, that's Stand on It. I didn't realize it was him, but then I'm like, wait, I do know I think his Instagram say DeMarquio. DeMarquio. Is that how you pronounce it? Stand on it. What you got to say about that, though, Southern Force?
Man, like I've been saying over and over again, he did it because of fear. You heard in some of his comments, he said he played checkers, not chess. And anybody know in chess is a mind game. Chess is a strategic move, a precise move. So once you corner your opponent's piece, there's no way out. It's checkmate. You understand what I'm saying? So I love to play chess instead of checkers because when I do, I'm always strategic. Take this one in point. When he was talking about the checker game, and I heard him say that weird shit, right? I sat up there and I was like, all right. So basically, what you did is Money Mark Stevens gave Big U the paperwork. You found out that he got the paperwork, and you had to play checkers and not chess and hurry up and get Big U out the way because it was about to spread that you're labeled as a rat. So, like I said, he did it out of fear, and which is a cold thing. It's fucked up. I don't respect these rats. I don't respect these rats out of fear. You that afraid? Well, what you usually say, Deuce, roll it up like a little burrito.
Roll your shit up in a little burrito
and get the fuck out. Go to the suburbs. Go deep into the woods in the cabin. Some shit. We don't need you around the tribe. We don't need you around the sections. We don't need you nowhere in the hood. Stay where you at, way out there. But don't come around here trying to rat on real ones and shit that's trying to make a difference in their fucking community. That shit gets no play. Real talk.
No, that's a fact. Let me see where we at. Let me see if I can pull up some of this work because they want the work. I got the work. You know what I'm saying? They want the work. I know I can get it on my phone, but I want to pull it up. So let's go ahead and go here. Let's see if they let me pull it up here. Oh, yeah. Throw your neighborhood in the air. If you don't care. Oh, yeah. Throw the neighborhood in the air. Bump, bump, bump. If you don't care. You know what I'm saying? We got the canteen. So let's start with the wiretap. Right?
Right.
We'll start with the wiretap. This is the wiretap that ChatGPT gave us a summary of so that people could clearly understand what's going on. Because when people talking on the phone, sometimes you don't really get it when you're reading it, as opposed to the vibe, the pronunciation, and the way it's being delivered during the conversation. So Dale tells Stevens, hey, Money Mark, hey, your boy Box went south. CS2 Back wants Dale's phone number. Back needs to talk to Dale. It's important. Dale talks about Box incident and Back wanting to talk to Dale. Mafia talk. And someone talking too much. Box? Sounds like Back has info on Box and talk about phone lines being compromised. Box punked the game. Two messages on Mark's phone. Mark is involved in the gang business and operations. Duke, Back is calling on another line to Mark. So Mark is getting the line. There have been a couple of missed phones and messages left on Mark Stevens' phone from WACK100. He had called multiple times, right? So, and Mark Stevens not knowing how to address the nigga or how he should even entertain the nigga because he already done told him he want Dale number. So now he like, well, fuck it, man. Let me see. This nigga keep calling my shit. Hey, Dale, this nigga trying to holler at you. He said he got some info on Box. The nigga went bad. You know what I'm saying? And then you see what Dale says. Mark Stevens hit me about 3 times. He want me to give him your number, so I was calling to clear it with you first before I give him your number. He called me and Dale Dog, I'm cool. I'm cool on that, brother. You trying to get, this nigga wants your number, and I'm cool. I'm cool on that, brother.
Fuck that.
Nigga ain't fucking with that, nigga. You know what I'm saying? So Mark Stevens kind of shocked. He like, oh, okay, so you don't want, all right. So you don't want to do no holler, all right. Dale Dog, what's up with you though, man? You know what I'm saying? Nigga changed the subject on him. And he's discombobulated because he like, man, what I'm going to tell this nigga keep calling my number? You know what I'm saying? So Mark Stevens like, we'll talk, man. You know, I just need to know, man, you, when I talk to back, I'm just going to tell that nigga, man, oh, man, well, you know, homie, you been on the phone with dude and, you know, Shane, you know what I'm saying? You right, man. No telling what lies he told the nigga on the phone. You know what I'm saying? Dale Dog. And then though, when you call the dude, you make sure dude talk about certain stuff on the horn. You know that's what they got going on, right? Nigga, he knows that Wack is working with Stutterbox, trying to get a nigga to talk on the phone. Man, I ain't got no time for this dude. You Mark Stevens. I mean, you know, that's good information. See, now I know how to, like I said, I ain't helping the Wack boy in a minute. You know what I'm saying? He called me out the blue yesterday. Not yesterday, yeah. Last night, he sent 2 messages. He left 2 messages, said this morning, and I just need to know how to play it cool. Like, I ain't trying to, you know, roll the boat. You know what I'm saying? I just needed to know how to play it cool. You know what I'm saying? Because the nigga been calling me, you know. You know what I'm saying? Dale Dog, nigga probably said, man, nigga going to jail, you know? And then Dale Dog started laughing. Dale Dog started laughing because he peeped the play, bro. Oh, this nigga, that's what they got going on.
Nasty work.
Trying to get us on the phone, you know what I'm saying? Talking about certain stuff. What's crazy, Wack tries to justify why the feds call his phone. Even if true or a lie, the feds only check on their workers to see if they safe. That's a fact. 509, yeah, bro. I went and re-listened to that shit after all of this time because I didn't at first remember we all thought that call was fake. You know what I'm saying? Now I know that the call was real. He just cut out the part. He just edited out the part where he was being questioned about Big U. They called him to talk about Big U. You know what I'm saying? So that's the part he edited out. But so when I didn't really pay attention to it as much. I heard it, but I wasn't on it like that as at when he had first released it. But now with this case, when I went back and listened, it made all the sense. I can't talk to people like you, Drew. Them gas prices might rub off. Nothing, Luke. Y'all is crazy. I guarantee you the feds will never call me. They're going to try to get me locked up and pull me over or come to my family crib. Yeah. Is Fat Me Greasy? Bro, listen, bro. And Susan, I followed you back. Yeah, everybody following Susan, secretly seeking Susan. Y'all remember that movie? Wasn't that what it was called? Secretly Seeking Susan. You know what I'm saying? Listen, bro, the feds can't call my phone because first and foremost, my heart gonna drop. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be like, not again. I'm gonna have flashbacks. Damn, I was doing good. What I done did? Damn, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be thinking and paranoid, thinking I done fucked up somewhere and forgot that I done did some shit I ain't supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Gas get too high, I'm about to get a bite or start smoking crack so I can run real fast everywhere. Shut the fuck up, Juvie. This nigga Juvie stupid as hell. Mike B said, not to mention Wack still got that same phone number. He said he had the same number almost 20 years. It's only been 17 years since the Main Street case. Yeah, nasty work. Meanwhile, I'm a peaceful man these days. I'm not doing nothing negative these days. Yeah, me neither. That don't mean that, bro, the feds will indict a ham sandwich. You know what I'm saying? That's the saying that my lawyer told me when I was in the feds. The feds will indict a ham sandwich. You know what I'm saying? Because they could go with hearsay and all that. They could run with all of that at grand jury. You know what I'm saying? But once you get to trial and that shit has to face the crux of cross-examination, it gets context. And a lot of things be taken out of context. For real, Drew, an electric bike is $5.25 here in Portland. So, okay, so we've been on 1 hour and 27 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Let me get into some of this paperwork. I'm going to read it from Desperately Seeking Susan. Okay, yeah, good looking out, my boy Jerry. Hey, Desperately Seeking Susan, nigga. You know what I'm saying? That's what that thing was called, that movie, man. You know what I'm saying? I remember I was young, but I remembered it. Crack so you can run fast. How crazy. What it do? Zariah Scott, what up? You know what I'm saying? Oh, I might be able to pull up some more of that paperwork. You know what I'm saying? Let's see if they let me go here because boom. Oh, here goes the thing, right? With other leaders of the large gang organization, CS2 is able to provide limited information regarding violent assaults committed by the Main Street Mafia Crips, including shootings, burglaries, and murders. CS2 is unwilling to testify in court against members of the Main Street Mafia Crip because CS2 is fearful of retaliation against CS2 and or CS2's family. CS2 believes that if any member of the Main Street Mafia Crip criminal organization becomes aware of CS2's cooperation with law enforcement, the organization will likely orchestrate the execution of CS2. Mind y'all, Stutterbox was his neighbor. You know what I'm saying? Right. Oh, here was the page before that. CS2 has provided reliable, historical information concerning the Main Street Mafia Crip organization. However, CS2 is only aware of certain aspects regarding the organization's criminal activity. Excuse me. A narcotic distribution network. CS2 has no knowledge or information regarding the methods in which narcotics are being transported to the LA area and distributed to Main Street Crips gang members. Additionally, CS2 is unable to provide information regarding the narcotic customers, flow of narcotic proceeds, and methods that they are using to laundering their narcotic proceeds. CS2 is only able to identify a limited number of Main Street Mafia Crip gang members. Obviously, he couldn't be from Main Street if he don't know his homies. CS2 is unable to provide specific information regarding the organization's extortion activities, methods of monetary collections, and distribution of proceeds. CS2 is also unable to provide any information regarding the Main Street Mafia Crip Association, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? But he did provide reliable historical. Do you know what that means? Historical, nigga? Historical, nigga. Something that's gonna always be remembered, nigga. He made history. That nigga snitching made history, nigga. Now wonder that nigga walk around this motherfucker, even though he done told like he ruled the world. You know what I'm saying?
And the Golden Rat Award goes to CS2 back.
Man, that nigga going. I'ma tell, and I'ma tell again. I'ma tell on all of my friends. I'ma tell. We need to do a song called "I'ma Tell." That's what he gonna do, nigga.
Yeah, all of his patent. He got a patent on that telling.
Oh yeah, that telling got a pending patent, nigga. It's exclusive for CS2 back. Oh, while I'm getting this paperwork, let's get into this. For those who aren't familiar, this tells a better story. Hold on. Just put it in the story into better context. Let's go. Shout out Kip Kamey, my guy.
A man by the name of Robert Ross went into a convenience store in West Hollywood. He was then kidnapped at gunpoint and was forced to drive to a home in South Central Los Angeles, in the territory of the Main Street Mafia Crips. There, he was beaten, robbed, and demanded to return Shaquille O'Neal's sex tape. Stay tuned. Let's turn back the clock. The year is 1992, and Shaquille O'Neal roared his way from LSU all the way to the NBA, where he became synonymous with both power and finesse. Quickly, he became one of the league's most dominant players, and one of the US's most popular celebrities. As a literal larger-than-life figure, Shaq also dominated off the court, starring in movies, Pepsi commercials, gracing video game and magazine covers, making wrestling appearances, and topping the charts with one of his most dear passions, rapping, spitting on the mic. Along names such as the notorious B.I.G., Nas, and Jay-Z, the big Aristotle showed his chops on the mic, even featuring on a Michael Jackson single. Yeah, seriously. Of course, Shaq doesn't get a King of Pop or Jay-Z feature by just dunking a basketball. He was actually an adept rapper for his time period. And although he already had millions of dollars, worldwide fame, and basically anything that he wanted more. He called himself a Renaissance man. And hey, he was Shaquille O'Neal, man. Whatever he wanted, he got. No diddy. So it's a year later now. Fresh off a Rookie of the Year campaign, Shaq founded his own record label called Twism Records, with Twism standing for The World Is Mine. Fitting. While being one of the league's best players from out the gate.
Is it true that you're the only rookie that was ever named Player of the Week in the first week?
Yes, sir, it is. I had a pretty good week.
He was also recording with some of the hottest artists in the 90s, the first of which being a rap group called Fu Schnickens, one of Shaq's childhood idols. The record was a song they'd already recorded, called What's Up, Dogg? Can We Rock? They added Shaq last minute as a feature, and the song blew up. Coming out in the summer of 1993, it was a top 40 Billboard hit. To compare, Tweaker by Jello Ball is a top 30 Billboard hit, and look where it got him.
You know you could be vaping formaldehyde,
Damu Kiwe
which is used in taxidermy.
Conversations. Let's go.
Meet Canceline.
Hit that like button. Look at these likes. It's not even respectable. Let's go, man.
So yeah, Shaq was hot stuff. It was actually fire, for the time at least. That single showed that Shaq could hold his own in the booth, and many more records followed. What's Up, Dog became the lead single of Shaq's first project, called Shaq Diesel, which went platinum, selling over 1 million copies. Buoyed by this massive success, Jive Records, the label that put Fu Schnickens and Shaq together in the first place, offered him a 3-album, $10 million deal.
Agent called and he said, bro, you're not gonna believe this. And I said, what? He said, they offer you a $10 million 3-album deal. And I was like, I gotta take it.
The next album he dropped was called Shaq Food, The Return, where the first song was no hook. featuring RZA and Method Man.
The Shaq attack has risen. Roll call 3 p.m. This is Twism. Always and forever.
The album went gold, selling about 500,000 copies. After this, Shaq left Jive Records and partnered with Interscope, where in 1996 he dropped the best album from any athlete ever, You Can't Stop the Rain, featuring the Notorious B.I.G., Jay-Z, Nas, and Rakim. For my younger audience, that's like Jello dropping a project with Drake, NBA YoungBoy, Lil Uzi, and damn, Cardi. Shaq was stamped in the music game. Just a few months prior, Shaq made the bombshell announcement that he'd be signing a 7-year, $121 million deal with the Los Angeles Lakers. From there, he became the legend that we all know. On the music side, he commemorated his move with the track Straight Playing, symbolizing the arrival of Shaq Diesel on the West Coast. Now, comparatively speaking, You Can't Stop the Rain didn't do that well, selling 200,000 copies. Shaq did one more album partnering with A&M Records in 1998, which featured Kobe Bryant in a song called 3 Times Dope. However, Kobe wasn't credited because of label issues or something like that. But it's out there. I'll play a snippet right now.
I reach destinations with split-second acceleration. In the capsule of time to witness your own evaporation.
When Phil Jackson came into the picture, Shaq let rapping take a back seat. And during the three-peat run in LA, he didn't release anything, recording one album called Shaquille O'Neal Presents Super Friends Volume 1, which never released. He dropped one last track called Drop Another Day, number 34, which started a beef with rap
T-Rex arm.
After that, he never dropped a full rap project again. The year is now 2004, and the Los Angeles Lakers are losing their groove. They lost their first NBA Finals in the Kobe and Shaq era, and while their status was nothing but solidified, Shaq's time in LA was almost up. Around this time, Shaq created a new label with his cousin, Mark Stevens, a shrewd businessman who he regularly consulted with while he had Twism Records, which went under in 2001. This time, Shaq was looking to be the executive rather than the talent, and was looking for artists to partner with for his label. Now, enter Robert Ross, aka Stutterbox, due to his penchant for stuttering when he gets nervous or excited. He met Shaquille O'Neal at a party in LA in around 2003, and they became good friends. Stutterbox happened to know a lot of people around the music scene in LA. Shaq's new label, looking for new artists, commissioned Stutterbox to go and find new people for him, and he followed through. Plus interest, it seems. Enough to where Shaq shouted him out in a 2006 remix of his song with a Notorious B.I.G. That's not all he shouted out, though. In fact, he had a lot of guys in a set to rap.
Man, money market bullet, cousin Kenny is my cat, man. Dogg and Box got my back, man. K Slay, Corey Guns, Main Street, no Shaq, man.
So, who are these guys? And what's Main Street? Well, see, Robert Ross was affiliated with the Main Street Mafia Crips of South Central LA. This is where stuff gets sticky. While I've lived in South Central LA before, I have not had a singular gang interaction. Like, the closest I got, I went to a basketball court alone on the weekend, broad daylight. It's the middle of the day on a weekend, and there's no kids, no one around. I'm wondering what's going on. I see some gang tags, I put it together, and I get up out of there. I turn on the jets. I am not about that life. So I brought in someone who is. Lamonte Duse M Sims, an OG coming from the Fruittown Brims, a set of the Bloods in West South Central. He's worked with guys like YG and Ty Dolla $ign before, and featured on the viral Brim anthem, Hit Your Brimmin'. He's also the owner of the media outlet Active Chucks, where he's interviewed major LA players like Suge Knight, as well as our main men, Robert Ross and Mark Stevens.
Stutterbox is the nexus to this whole investigation.
In late 2007, Ross formed a relationship with his neighbor Ray J, and was able to bring him onto Shaq and Mark Stevens' label, with the help of Death Row affiliate Cash Jones, aka WACK100. That'll be important. During the initial negotiations, Robert Ross and Mark Stevens agreed that Ross would make a percentage of royalties based off of whatever music that Ray J and the label put out together. But when they met in New York a few weeks later to finalize the deal, Mark Stevens balked. He gave Ross a $20,000 finder's fee and refused to pay him any royalties.
Now, mind you, Robert Ross is a real fancy, flashy dude. He's driving around Los Angeles at this point in Rolls Royces and Phantoms. He's really heavily and wealthy man. I think he had did a fraud, allegedly, and acquired about $7-8 million in a fraud scam that he had going on. So he's a street millionaire.
So naturally, Stutterbox wasn't going for it. And neither was Ray J, actually. He refused to sign the deal until Stutterbox got his pay. But the facilitator in New York, Koch Records, were going to nix the deal if he didn't sign soon. So Stutterbox tells Ray J sign the deal, and
if I get my money out of these guys, how I get my money out of them. Panda Man, salute.
Success, topping the charts of Billboard Hip Hop and R&B. The main single was Sexy Can I, which actually had Shaq in the background of the music video.
Is it true that Shaq invested in your music career?
Yeah.
Protect your dreams.
Damu Kiwe Conversation. Can we get some audio on Clubhouse? Anybody on Clubhouse got access to audio? Could y'all play the live on Clubhouse? Because they can't hear it.
I think 1.5 million for Sexy Kenna. Wow. Money Mark, WACK100, we had another partner, and then Shaq. And we recouped the number back for Shaq in, I don't know, 5 months, 6 months. And everything else has been profitable since.
All the while, Stutterbox was still trying to get his money back. After weeks of constantly requesting money from Mark and Shaq, there was no budging from either guy. So
Robert Ross and Cash Jones come up with a conspiracy to blackmail and extort Shaquille O'Neal and Mark Stevens for the money that Robert Ross felt he was owed for putting together the Ray J deal.
now hold on. I know that sounds crazy, but hear it out. So Shaq and Stutterbox are good friends at this point, right? Stutterbox even introduced him to other members of the Main Street Crips, including the leader Liddell Rawls, aka Dogg, remember that, and Kevin Haran, who went by the name of Lil Shaq. Sound familiar?
Dogg and Box got my back, man.
Remember these names.
So not only does Shaq rep the Main Street set, but the other people that he mentioned are literally his family. Mark and Kenny
Cousin Kenny is my cat, man.
are his blood relatives, first cousins. And Corey Guns
Corey Guns.
is his godson. But who gets the screen time? Not Kenny or Corey, but Stutterbox.
But him and Shaq was tight, and Shaquille O'Neal, prior to the deal, hung out with him, partied with him, even went to his house where Robert Ross leaves. Shaquille O'Neal had invited his female friend there, had sex with her there, and it was security cam footage when Robert Ross came home where he sees, oh man, he boom boom brought on my couch, you know what I'm saying? Shoved his hands all in her ass and all of this stuff.
So yeah, Stutterbox, Robert Ross, came home to a security cam footage and saw Shaq. Yeah. So anyway, that's leverage. This happened around July 2007, before Shaquille divorced his wife, Shawnee. That's infidelity from a global superstar in the 2000s. TMZ would literally be slobbering. TMZ was going to slobber all over that. So through Cash Jones, WACK100, Ross claimed to have recorded and saved the footage and insinuated that he could sell it to TMZ and make a lot of money. Additionally, get this.
Now, Robert Ross, another story plot twist, seeing that Shaquille O'Neal and Shawnee O'Neal were having a rocky relationship. As the story goes, he allegedly played in to be a counselor, and it is rumored began to have sex with Shawnee O'Neal. I don't know if that's true or not. Like I said, Robert Ross lies about a lot, but it's been consistent. Even a lot of the police officers in their reports were citing that this allegation might have possibly been true. Shaquille O'Neal hired a private investigator to follow his ex-wife. She follows his ex-wife and brings back footage of Robert Ross and Shawnee O'Neal having brunch together out in, they met halfway and met in Texas or somewhere down south back east.
During this time, apparently Robert Ross told Shawnee O'Neal about the sex tape and even offered to sell it to her. She also said she didn't believe there was a sex
that's
tape
an ESPN
because he was a liar
article.
and he never slept with her.
Special
So anyways,
Agent
regardless
Love
of all of
Boy.
what happened previously, I think we can all agree here that Robert Ross is moving hella shiesty. I mean, he did say he was gonna get it back his way. I mean, he's a street millionaire. What do you expect? But here's where he messed up. He messed with Shaq Diesel. Hey, no glaze. One thing Shaq didn't play about back then was leaks. During Kobe Bryant's deposition in his 2004 Colorado case, he name-dropped Shaq to the people who were interviewing him, claiming that Shaq would not pay his woman to say anything and that he's already paid up to $1 million for stuff like this. Now, listen, I'm not gonna choose a side for you guys, but the alleged victim, 3 days before she charged Kobe, bragged about being with him to 5 people. She'd apparently tried to get with Eminem, and her friend described her as having a celebrity addiction. At least from Kobe's point of view, this was just infidelity. And when Shaq did it, he married Shawnee in 2002, he made sure to cover his tracks. Now here goes one of his business partners, who, by the way, had a track of criminal activity, and Shaq was claiming to want to reform him, but he'd also been dropping Shaq's name to police officers. So this is the guy who's trying to throw all of that now down the drain. Shaq wasn't going. Enter Dogg, the leader of the Main Street Mafia Crips, and one of the most famous men of South Central LA.
You had to hear about Dogg. He was like God.
Christened the street apostle, Dogg was the founder of 4 Life Records and the 4 Life Mafia car club, the latter of which became the predecessor for an entire car subculture in Japan. He was also tight with Steve Harvey and Ice Cube, both of whom starred in a documentary funded by Shaquille O'Neal. Seen as nearly a biblical figure in his hood, he organized toy and food drives every Thanksgiving, Christmas, and summer, with Shaq even pulling up sometimes. Additionally, he was a devout follower of Christ in his later years, of which he did his best to spread the good word around his hood. Like one of his members said,
"We was cripping for the street, now we're cripping for Christ."
But like every person in power, there are two sides to the coin.
He's like a legend in Los Angeles. Some people even call him the king of Los Angeles. If you listen to most people, he was like the ghetto Robin Hood, right? Necessary evils.
Necessary evils.
Lord, I cannot kill all these niggas hating on me, man. That's what I said to God. I said, I cannot kill all these niggas that's hating, man.
2 weeks later, Robert Ross, Stutterbox, was at the Pink Dot in West Hollywood when he encountered some of his old partners from the Main Street Crips. They blocked his car from leaving and told him that Dogg wanted to see him. They forced him at gunpoint to drive his Rolls Royce back to South Central LA, where they dropped him off in front of a member's house, where Liddell Rawls, Del Dogg, was waiting. Per Ross's account, Dogg and some other guys started jumping him, pistol whipping and all of this stuff for about an hour. They then took him to a studio in the back of the house, where they beat him some more, took his diamond necklace, his diamond earrings, Rolex watch, and $15,000 in cash. While saying, Mark and Shaq know who the real boss is now. Del Dogg then demanded the tape and $100,000, to which Stutterbox replied his mom and sister needed to see him soon or else they would get suspicious. But he'd be able to get $60K and the tape in just a few hours. Del Dogg then handed him his keys for his house and his car.
Salute, CJ.
This is where our story gets even juicier. Robert Ross, up to this point, had been working with the police.
He was working with Detective Darren Dupree and Greg Caden, which was a joint task force. They were both LAPD officers, primarily focused on the Tupac and Biggie murder investigation.
Once you pop, you might find your
This
flaws.
shit get deep, man. This shit get deep. Bang that like button. Y'all getting exclusive. Look who on the commercial. That's crazy. We running the content and they show a Shaq commercial doing auto tune. Y'all see how crazy the algorithm work? Run this shit up. Let's go. Clip that.
Whoa, hold on, huh? Wait, why? Why? Well,
Robert Ross Stutterbox was also a suspect in the unaliving of Biggie Smalls, the notorious B.I.G., Christopher Wallace. Well, they had informants saying that the police did it and the hitman name was Amir Muhammad. Well, Stutterbox went by the alias. Robert Ross went by the alias.
And to top it all off,
Main Street Crips are already under federal investigation. I'm talking about home invasions, drug dealings. The FBI, ATF, DEA already has federal wiretaps going on.
Which is why this crime was able to be so fleshed out in the first place. They'd already had wiretaps placed on the Main Street Crips. Man. Listen, we talking about Biggie and Tupac on an NBA channel. Bro, like and subscribe, man. Who's really doing this? Back to box.
He leaves, jumps in his Rolls Royce. He calls his handler, Darren Dupree, and Darren Dupree tells him to walk and report the kidnapping and robbery at the local police station, which he did.
Now, Robert Ross's informant situation and motives are still murky, but what is known is that instead of going home and receiving the tape and the $60,000, he went to the LAPD 77th Division station, beaten and bloodied, and told the officers about what had just happened, and implicated Liddell Rawls, Shaquille O'Neal, and Mark Stevens. Now, was there any evidence other than hearsay to prove that Shaq and Mark Stevens put a hit out on Robert Ross? No. Not really, but remember the wiretaps. The LAPD found that around the time that Robert Ross was kidnapped, a flurry of calls was exchanged between Mark Stevens and Liddell Rawls. Now, I just finished up The Wire Season 1, and bro, when I read that, I said, bro, literally bar for bar, man, I was shocked. So, there's strong evidence that Money Mark called Del Dogg to handle Stutterbox, something Greg Kading, the officer that worked with Stutterbox and the handler of the Tupac and Biggie cases, also corroborated.
Shaq's like, man, this clown's trying to extort money from me, blah, blah, blah. He tells Mark. Well, Mark reaches out to Del Dogg and says, man, you gotta square your guy away. Can you deal with Stutterbox? Tell him to knock this shit off. So Del Dogg and the Main Street Crips go and they discipline and threaten Stutterbox.
But Ross didn't press charges right away. Sometime after the kidnapping, he was incarcerated again, which led to a delay for almost 3 years. Then, in the summer of 2011, he officially filed a civil complaint accusing Shaq, Mark Stevens, Del Dogg, and 7 other Main Street Crip members of kidnapping, assault and battery, and robbery. From there, the case was picked up from all the major news outlets, with bombastic headlines like Shaq attack and the like. But then, after the preliminary hearing, the case was inexplicably dropped. Why? Well, apparently, Robert Ross perjured himself in court. He lied on the stand. WACK100, his former partner, and in on that first Ray J deal, claims to know why.
To help a certain individual out, I called my attorney, had the attorney put Greg Kane and Mark Stevens together. They put that together to add box on.
Now that's the key part. And I hope that don't go over y'all head. WACK100 went on bond first claiming that he put his Mark Stevens' lawyer with Greg Caden so they could ask these certain questions. Well, Money Mark Stevens is saying, man, that nigga was the rat. What do you got to do with this case? How is you jumping on these people's case and saying you got nothing to do with it, but at the same time talking about you orchestrated the whole thing? Because the feds owed you one.
On stand, you're going to pull the paperwork. Have you ever been a confidential informant to work for the LAPD, FBI as a known snitch? He lied on the oath and said no. Greg Kane takes a stance, provides a document that this dude is in fact one of our informants, this, that. At that point, the judge looks at it. He perjured himself. Therefore, any allegations or any claims he's bringing on anybody is non and void. They dropped the charges on these 7 Crips and let them go. So in a sense, this power roof freed the Crips.
Now, time for another plot twist. WACK100 was also allegedly an FBI informant at the time, but this time for Death Row Records in regarding the Biggie Smalls case. What's going on, bro? Lamonte, who's actually got beef right now with WACK100, broke it down for me. Buckle up. So, for context, after the death of Biggie Smalls, there were allegations that the LAPD was involved in the murder. And not only that, but they hid their involvement in the preceding trials. Biggie's family then filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the LAPD in the city of LA, demanding over $400 million.
Detective Greg Caden, he helped federalize that Main Street case, but that wasn't his case. He's running the Biggie murder investigation and the Tupac Death Row Suge stuff. So that's his priority. There's a $400 million lawsuit against the LAPD and the city of Los Angeles, which would have bankrupt Greg Caden and Darren Dupree. The task force was created to bring up a different theory that didn't implicate any police officers in participating or assisting in the unaliving of Biggie Smalls, the notorious Big. That's his only focus, to bring up a theory so that they could get off this $400 million loss. If Detective Coet would have spoke up on the stand, or Detective Fournier, they could have asked them about everybody who was on this investigation, including the informant. Informants being confidential source to Back.
Now, who is CS2 Back? Well, according to Lamonte's findings, that is WACK100 Cash Jones, who's listed in the investigations while Dogg was speaking with Mark Stevens. Through Mark Stevens, who is now Cash Jones's employer at Deja 34 Records thanks to the Ray J deal, he wanted to convey the information that Stutterbox had gone sour. Dogg declines. The police investigation referred to him as CS2, confidential source 2, and Mark Stevens confirmed his identity later on. The priority being the case of the notorious B.I.G. and Jones's ability to be able to point out the culprit as being Wardell Fowles, aka Poochie, as a plausible story. If the police officers working on the Stutterbox case were to testify, they were liable to exposing Cash Jones's relationship with the police due to him being involved tangentially, and thus rupturing the relationship needed to have a working theory to save the city of LA and the LAPD $400 million. So they left their lower-ranking informant out to dry, and the case was dropped. But hey, that's just a theory, a gang theory. That was poor. That was poor. Thanks for watching. My bad. The LAPD, by the way, had already designated Ross as an undesirable informant due to having a personal vendetta against other gang members and allegedly bragging about paying cops.
Stutterbox is a really interesting character. He may be one of the worst people that I've ever come across so far as how devious he is.
So maybe that was the reason.
Hey,
Whatever
listen.
the explanation was, the case was
Hey,
dismissed.
Greg say Stutterbox was one of the worst people he ever met on planet Earth. But he praises WACK100. Oh, he's a hardworking family man, just entrepreneur. He's this shit crazy. You see,
Members
cold, good.
and Shaq didn't even see the courtroom. Robert Ross, regardless if he had later legal troubles, lives now in a nice house and what seems to be a peaceful life from what I can make out. Liddell Rawls, aka Del Dog, was shot in 2015 after allegedly attempting to mediate a gang dispute. Mark Stevens, I think, is still living in Atlanta, still working with Shaq, not on music anymore. That kind of died out in 2013. And as it turned out, he actually became Stephen A's agent. And Shaq is now an overpaid hater on national television, far from the gangster life that he may have once dabbled in. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't.
I don't know that Shaquille O'Neal was even aware that a kidnap and robbery was going down. I don't know that. You know what I'm saying?
We'll probably never know, but damn. And if you see any other stories like this, hit me up on Twitter, man. I want to see some more. I want to cover some more. Like and subscribe if you haven't, because more heat is on the way. Thanks for watching. You can't stop the rain.
Shout out my boy Kip Kamey, man. We did that and we was able to really tell that story and bring that story to life. We got my boy, what you call him too, right? My boy, Certified Street News, but we'll go out with that one. Now we're gonna go out with the other one. Let's see what the good people said. The good people interactive in the chat, man. Make sure he was compromised. CJ up off the east side, him and Spider compromised and tug of warring over Reggie Wright Jr. WACK100 and Spider Locust compromised with a tug of war over Reggie Wright Jr. Oh, Veggie wrong. I had nothing to do with the Main Street case, but I got them free. And I did talk to Dogg. He just don't know it. If you listen, these niggas telling themselves all the time, always contradicting themselves. Yeah, Greg just don't like that Box put him and his partner on blast. Yeah, because the nigga taking money under the table. Which, listen, bro, I ain't got no problem with a dirty cop. I don't respect them because they're cops and they're the worst kind, right? But I understand how it goes down. You know what I'm saying? So once Stutterbox put that on there that he had a police in his pocket, Darren Dupree, allegedly, nigga, they put that nigga ass in jail. You know what I'm saying? But look, let's get to this work though. Y'all was talking about Big Herb, he in the work. You know what I'm saying? Who else y'all was talking about? Some of the main streets. Y'all see this? Active victim witnesses interview. January 12, 2009. Sheriff's Department supplementary report. File number. This is from the Discovery, right? Y'all can go pull this up. Go to Superior Court and pull this up. Matter of fact, I could get it the whole 400 pages for $60, and I'm gonna get it. Robert Ross, February 11th. Robert Ross is the victim. Stutterbox was the victim. People like to say he was the snitch. Well, because he was a gang member that some gangster shit happened told, he is a snitch, but he was the victim, the actual victim. So he's not no CS. You know what I'm saying? He's openly cooperating with law enforcement. So you got to be able to differentiate from the title tellers. You know what I'm saying? There's different levels of title telling, you know. Defended 211-8 Monday at 0000 hours. The address where he was kidnapped. Then you got Liddell Rawls, right? And you got his birthday. I don't know Del Dogg's birthday. Rest in peace. I didn't know him. I knew of him. Obviously, I'm from LA. And he had his whole crew on. Niggas called him the King of LA because he was, see, a nigga could be shining, and if I see him in a Rolls Phantom, a Wraith, if I see a nigga in a Wraith and his homies pull up and them niggas is in cutlasses and Elcos, I'll be like, damn, them niggas is getting money, but damn, this nigga got the, damn, you nigga, you's a selfish nigga. I want my nigga, when they see me and my niggas, we all shine. That's just the type of nigga I am. And I watched Dogg do that, bro. You know what I'm saying? When you see them Mafia for Life plaques and them Lolos, you know niggas got that bad. So you got number 2 was James Harvey, a.k.a. Wood. I don't know Wood birthday, but they got it up there. Marlon Hunt, a.k.a. Pat Rat. Dion Hawkins, a.k.a. D-Lo. Taekwon Wingate, a.k.a. SK. Eddie Hill, a.k.a. Lil West. And Brandon Nieder, a.k.a. 50 Cent. So these are the Main Street Crips that WACK100 says he saved. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Page 2. On February 10th, 2008, victim Robert Ross was kidnapped from the parking lot of the Pink Dot, a business located on Sunset Boulevard in the city of West Hollywood. He was ordered at gunpoint to enter his vehicle and drive to an address, Los Angeles. Once at that location, he was assaulted and robbed of his jewelry and money. After being allowed to leave the location, Ross drove to the LAPD 77 Division to report the crime. LAPD notified West Hollywood Sheriff's Station of the crime, which initiated in their jurisdiction, and they dispatched the radio car to take the first report. So Duse M made this paperwork up, and I made sure that I knew about all of the jurisdiction fight that was going on. How do I know about them having a jurisdictional fight between different law enforcement agencies? I'm not the police. I wasn't involved in the investigation. But if you listen to them, Duse M made this paperwork up. They said, always contradict. Let's see what they say. Greg just didn't like that Box put him and his partner on blast. Right. Him and Wack are good friends like Spidey and Reg. Support the press, yeah, but we will all know the truth is there is no one king of LA, respectfully. No. There ain't no just one king of LA because of how the politics is built to keep us divided. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm no longer a gamer. I don't denounce the games because that's like I'm putting them down or kicking them down. I'm just mentally evolving past that level. You know what I'm saying? But more into my spiritual and my blackness. You know what I'm saying? But when they say who did it, you got niggas that might say Hot Dog, 4-6, him and he kept niggas eating. You might say niggas that say Baby Gangster from Compton. Baby Gangster from Compton was getting 400-500 keys. You don't believe me? I was in court when the Mexican told on him, nigga. You know what I'm saying? The Mexican took his plea out. So he had his niggas in Lolos, and he had so many Lolos and shit. So Baby Gangster, he could be looked at that. And there's other motherfuckers, you know what I'm saying, that was getting it. They're all Big Jess and them from Main Street. Big Jess and Drew. Them niggas was getting it. Shout out to Executive Entertainment, man. Mafia for Life Records, the original Mafia for Life Records before Dogg took the name, right? But salute to those that evolve mentally but maintain their integrity. Yeah, Honcho from Great, he was on like that. Lil Pat, you know what I'm saying? Nigga Freeway Rick could be considered that even though he wasn't no gang member, nigga. That nigga was the crack cocaine kingpin, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Nigga, Waterhead Bo. You know what I'm saying? Who you say?
Oh, what you said? Waterhead Bo.
Yeah, Waterhead Bo. You know what I'm saying? He could be considered a king from the land. Tootie Reese. That's who I believe was the godfather of Los Angeles. Ray Browning out of Pasadena. See, LA got a long history of gangsters, but motherfuckers don't give respect to the long history of hustlers. LA is an expensive city to live in, and it's been generations and generations of niggas that really get to that bag. Richie Rich from Main Street. But we could go on and on and on. This gang of niggas that was going out of town, getting to it. The governor, nigga, A-Dub from Hoover, nigga. It's a gang of niggas that was getting Lil Kiko from East Coast. I mean, Big Kiko from East Coast. 11-8. Nigga, them niggas was going to Milwaukee. He had his magazine company. Nigga, it was a lot of players getting to that bag, millionaires, bro. But back to the content. That we should do a show on who the crews, a whole series of crews that got to it legendary out the land. So anyway, look, Los Angeles Police Department Detective Mark Arenas assumed the investigation from Hollywood Sheriff's Station due to his involvement in an ongoing federal investigation involving the Main Street Crips. So it's so crazy because Greg Caden sent me a thing that saying that he was meeting with Detective Mark Arenas and them because they wanted him to help them federalize the investigation on the main streets. The main streets is already under federal investigation when this shit happened to Stutterbox. You know what I'm saying? So, Pete, on February 12, 2008, Detective Mark Arenas and Christian Merkich interviewed victim Ross and showed him a series of 6-packs containing the suspects involved in the kidnap, robbery, and assault. The following suspects were positively identified by victim Ross: James Harbin, male black, and his birthday, a.k.a. Wood; Deion Hawkins, male black, a.k.a. D-Lo; Eddie Hill, a.k.a. Lil West. I think Lil West is Stutterbox's cousin or something. I think they related, bro. And Taekwon Wingate, a.k.a. SK. A single photograph of Liddell Rawls, male black, a.k.a. Dale Dog, was shown to victim Ross, which he also positively identified. It should be noted that victim Ross grew up with all of the suspects and has known them for years. After the 6-packs were shown, the case was reassigned to Los Angeles County Sheriff Department Major Crimes Bureau Detective Marcelo Quintero, right? The investigation was delayed due to the ongoing federal investigation and wiretap case involving several of the suspects involved in the kidnap robbery. So now they done delayed, the LAPD done delayed the Main Street investigation and wiretap because of this ongoing wiretap case related to Stutterbox, Dale Dog, and the alleged kidnapping and robbery of Stutterbox. On July 16, 2008, investigators Paul Fournier and Detective Michael Coet spoke with LAPD Detective Quintero regarding the above case. Investigators told Detective Quintero that they were assigned to a task force with Los Angeles Police Department, and they were involved in the Main Street Crip investigation. Investigators requested this case be reassigned to them, and their request was granted. So now, Detective Michael Coet and his partner, Paul Fournier, who is the lead of the case, right? They're working with Detective Greg Caden, Darren Dupree, the bad Creole bitch that Wack was talking about, and the rest of their crew, right? As the special task force, right? They got FBI agents, DEA agents. I think Greg Caden was a deputized DEA agent for this investigation, right? So after reviewing the case, investigators formulated a plan to speak with suspects involved with the kidnapping, robbery, and assault of victim Ross. The purpose of the plan was to stimulate conversation on the wiretap. So now y'all get to see how the feds get in, how these task forces get in. They come shake the trees after they got the wiretap ready, and they wait for you dumbass niggas to get on the phone and be Spooky Johnson talking about the crime. But now they don't even got to tap your phone. They wait for you dumbass niggas to jump on the internet and respond to WACK100. Investigators Paul Fournier and Michael Coet interviewed victim Robert Ross at the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Homicide Bureau. Investigators Fournier and Coet explained to Ross that they would now be handling his case and would like to obtain a detailed statement regarding the event. Oh, we finna get into it. So y'all do know who Detective Michael Coet is, right? Let me see if y'all know who Detective Michael, New Orleans, Michael Coet is. Hold on. Do anybody know? We got Bolina in the chat. What up, Bolina? Chicago and LA, a lot of things in common. All the ghettos in the U.S., but yeah, they're very, very close, especially because they both created structure. Wack called my phone bitching because I said he not from L.A. and can't speak for L.A. He ain't. Both cities long list of history. Yeah. Oh man, I know a couple players. Weasel Sims, Rufus Sims, the Four Corner Hustler, Chief. That nigga, multi-millionaire, he was doing it B.I.G. like the late Frank White. You know what I'm saying? Hold on. Let's get this going real quick. Because I want y'all to be sure that the players we talking about, y'all understand, because Wack brought Greg Caton to Clubhouse, introduced him as the lead detective in the investigation of Deja 34, the Main Streets, and all of that. And then Scandalous went and cleaned it up. Like, were you? And he was like, no, I'm not the lead. The lead was Paul Fournier and his partner, Detective Michael Coet. And we could play that later too. But just to prove that, because some of y'all might have missed that, right? But what we ain't gonna do is let y'all get up out of here like y'all don't, without knowing who Detective Michael Coet is. See, Detective Michael Coet is the first person who admitted that WACK100 was the only person arrested in this whole investigation. And that's huge, bro. Because the police ain't gonna lie and say you were the only one arrested and you weren't arrested. So how come we can find no record of a dope crime by Cash McElroy Jones? Cash McFuckboy Jones. Crater face! Crater face! Let's get to it. Listen to this. Call me. He talking to the police, talking about call me. Nasty work.
On Shaq, he's completely right, because I was caught up in the middle of all that.
When he spoke on Shaq, he was completely right, because I was caught up in all that. Listen, bro, he tell on himself. His conscience eating him up. Rat bastard. Let's go. Flame his ass up.
Dude that spoke on Shaq, he's completely right, because I was caught up in the middle of all that.
Gunshots.
That's Michael Coet.
Well, first of all, there were no arrests made other than Cash Jones WACK100 most famously.
There was no other people arrested.
First of all, there were no arrests made other than Cash Jones.
So y'all see that me and Yael was in Hollywood filming that, and we got that off of bond first. Well, as soon as they realized that we had it and we were showing the proof that the police is saying WACK100 was arrested, bond first took that video down. Well, they edit that part out of the video. That's when you know you got him. I talked to Dogg. You know what I'm saying? They own him. I see you, Eugene. Show some love and hit that motherfucking like button. Yeah, man, show some love and hit that like button. We're going to get back to the paperwork. But that was Detective Michael Coet. Him and his partner were the leads of the investigation into the Main Street Crips. Wack said he don't know the man. So this police is lying on him. This nigga Mark Stevens is lying on him, and he ain't sued neither one of them. But he gonna sue World Star. Ain't that a bitch? But let's go. So after reviewing the case, so they wanted to stimulate conversations on the wiretap. So we finna go talk to Southern Force, Duse M, Fam West TV2. We finna go interview them and shake them niggas up so they get nervous. They start feeling a little pressure and they get on the phone. Hey, Southern Force, you think they got my DNA from beating on them? Now I'm incriminating myself because I'm scared as a motherfucker. And that's what y'all finna witness. Let's go. So investigators Paul Fournier and Michael Coet interviewed Robert Ross at the LAPD Sheriff Homicide Bureau. Boom. Page 3. Ross stated that on February 10th, 2008, he drove to the West Hollywood area to meet some friends at the Pink Dot, located on Sunset Boulevard. He estimated that he arrived at the location around 10 p.m. He parked his vehicle in the driveway to the location, then got out and began talking with an acquaintance known only as H. Approximately 10 to 20 minutes later, Ross recognized a member of the Main Street Crip gang known to him as Wood, real name James Harbin, pulled his truck up next to the location and stopped. Harbin exited the vehicle and walked across the street and began urinating in the bushes. Harbin got back into his truck, drove 1 block away, pulled over and stopped. Approximately 3 to 4 minutes later, 3 other vehicles pulled up next to Harbin. All the vehicles then made a U-turn and drove back to the Pink Dot. Harbin parked his truck behind Ross's vehicle, which prevented him from leaving. Harbin exited his truck, approached Ross, and told him that Dogg, real name Liddell Ross, wanted to see him. Ross explained that Dogg, or Del Dogg, is the shot caller leader of the Main Street Crip gang. Harbin told Ross all the homies are strapped, meaning they all had guns on them. If we wanted to unalive you, we could unalive you. Ross recognized D-Lo, Pat Rat, and SK, all Main Street Crip gang members at the location. There were other younger members from the gang who he did not recognize. Ross could see that they were all armed. Harbin called Ross on his cell phone and told him, "We got him." Ross heard Ross say, "If he tries to get away, y'all do him." Ross understood this to mean if he tries to escape, to kill him. If he tries to escape, to unalive him. Harbin handed Ross his phone and he spoke with Ross, telling him that he didn't want to go back to the neighborhood because he was scared for his life. Ross told him that he had no choice and said, "I knew I'd get you." He then told Ross give the phone back to Harbin. Harbin told Ross to get inside his car and that he would ride with him back to the neighborhood. Wingate got in the back seat of Ross's vehicle. However, Harbin told him to get out and go back in the vehicle he came in. Ross drove the vehicle back towards the neighborhood as instructed, with Harbin riding in the passenger seat armed with a handgun. Deion Hawkins followed behind, driving Harbin's vehicle. Someone from the group drove Hawkins' black Yukon Denali pickup truck back to the neighborhood. 2 other vehicles described as blue Chevrolet Tahoes and a small car followed behind them. Once arriving in the neighborhood, Harbin told Ross to park in the driveway next door to Ross' house. This house belonged to a fellow Main Street Crip gang member named Big Herb. Ross was instructed to get out of his car. Harbin escorted Ross to Ross's house, where he was waited out front. Also at the location was Deion Hawkins, Marlon Hunt, and Ross's cousin, Eddie Hill, Lil West. So yeah, Eddie Hill, Lil West, is supposed to be his cousin. Rouse acknowledged, now mind you, all of this is Stutterbox's statement, right? To the sheriff, Paul Fournier and Michael Coet. Rouse acknowledged that Harbin and Hawkins, he acknowledged Harbin and Hawkins for their successful job. Harbin then left the location. Ross had Hawkins move Ross's car from Herb's driveway to the rear of Ross's house, where it could not be seen. Rouse, Hill, and Hunt then began striking Ross about his head and body with clenched fists. Rouse escorted Ross through a slide gate, loading up the entrance to his house. He told Hill and Hunt to remain out front and be a lookout. Ross estimated that he was on the front porch of the house for 1 hour. During this time, Rouse told him, "I've been waiting to get my hands on your ass." And he hit Ross over the head and in his face with a .45 caliber pistol. The force from being struck with the gun caused his bottom lip to split open and caused contusions to his head and body. After approximately 1 hour after arriving, Rouse escorted Ross to a converted music studio located in the rear of the house. Rouse struck Ross a few more times and then took his diamond necklace, a Rolex watch, and a pair of 1-carat diamond earrings from his person. Rouse also removed $15,000 cash from Ross's pocket. Ross explained that he had his money to purchase a vehicle the following day. During the assault, Ross told Ross, "Mark and Shaq know who the real boss is now," and said, "Why shouldn't I kill you right now?" Ross then demanded the videotape and $100,000. Oh, this is nasty work right here. This is nasty work. Ross explained that the kidnapping and assault was the result of a business deal gone bad and Shaquille O'Neal's belief that Ross had a sex tape of him, O'Neal, with a woman who was not his wife, and that Ross was having an affair with his wife, Shawnee. He said that at the end of 2007, he befriended a rap artist named Ray J. Ross negotiated with a music recording executive named Mark Stevens, whose business is located in Atlanta, Georgia. Stevens is partnered with NBA player Shaquille O'Neal, who founded the company. During the negotiations, Stevens agreed to pay a percentage from the profits to Ross if Ray J signed with Koch Entertainment, which is based in New York. In November 2007, Ross flew with Ray J to New York to meet with Allen and Koch at Mark Stevens regarding a recording contract. When he say Allen, they're talking about Allen Grumblock. You know what I'm saying? A few weeks later, Ross met with Stevens regarding his contract and the recording contract for Ray J. During this meeting, Stevens let Ross know that he would not be receiving any money for his involvement in the project, and that there was only one contract, and that was for Ray J. Ray J refused to sign the contract at that time, and the deal was held back for approximately 3 weeks. Ultimately, Ross convinced Ray J that he should sign anyway and that he would deal with his own contract issues later. During the next few weeks, Ross continued to request his money from Mark Stevens. Stevens made it clear he was to get nothing. Ross also talked to Shaquille O'Neal in hopes that he would agree to pay the money owed. During this period of time, O'Neal apparently was going through marital discord and had his wife followed by private investigators. O'Neal received photographs of his wife having lunch with Ross. He became angry and got a message to Ross that the business was done and to stay away from his wife. Page 5, right? Ross, who was still upset over the fact he was owed money, had a friend named Cash Jones deliver a message to Mark Stevens and Shaq O'Neal. Jones told them Ross had a videotape of O'Neal having sex with a woman inside of Ross's home in July 2007. So let's get this straight. This is Stutterbox's statement to the task force, to Detective Fournier and Detective Michael Coet. And he told on Wack. Because if Wack goes to Shaq and Mark Stevens and tells them, hey, look, man, this nigga Stutterbox got a tape. I got the tape. If he goes and tells Shaq and Mark Stevens about this sex tape and that MTV will pay a lot of money, then he's doing one overt act in furtherance of a conspiracy to blackmail and a conspiracy to extort Shaquille O'Neal and Money Mark Stevens, right? So Stevens, who had been to Ross's home, knew that he had surveillance cameras throughout his home and that O'Neal had, in fact, been there. Ross told investigators Fournier and Coet that he viewed the surveillance footage from the surveillance system monitor. However, he never downloaded it to a tape. He said the footage has since been recorded over by later surveillance. Ross was adamant that he was just bluffing in hopes that he would get the money that was owed to him. The kidnapping and robbery took place approximately 2 weeks after Jones delivered the message to Stevens and Shaquille O'Neal. I'm going to stop right there because just that statement right there, I want to hear Southern Force and Fam West react to that.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, so Wack takes not only takes this to Mark Stevens about this quote unquote alleged tape. It alerts, it alerts on Dogg about the situation. Now, if Wack never took that damn tape there, it would never came to Stutterbox like it did, and I don't think too much it would have happened the way it happened, where him running to the police. He must got a hell of an ass whooping. So, man, this shit is crazy because yes, he is part of the Main Street, because it wasn't for him trying to get a fucking bag behind this bullshit ass tape. Yeah, you wouldn't be implemented. Nobody wouldn't even know who you was. But it happened. You involved, and I think you did more than just had that tape allegation. Like I said, I think it was a charge on Wack and those informants joined together. I'm just
Fam West. Fam West.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I mean, I heard all this when it first came out, just like everybody else. It just shows to me Wack's character. You know what I'm saying? I mean, when I first heard it, I was like, yeah, that nigga did that. He pushed that, you know, because the shit he do now, all the way up to this point, you know, with the tape and, you know, I got this on niggas. So, and him being thirsty to get close to Game and Ray J get, you know what I'm saying? I feel that he was working around that time. I feel that when he was getting close to Stutterbox, that's they got at him before that. He was he's so thirsty, anxious, yo, get around. Then he get busted. Then you hear about this, you know, the gun when he got caught up, you know, in Arizona or Texas or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, yeah, man.
Texas.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, that nigga did that.
Hey, they
that
shot
nigga
me
thirsty.
to the. Hold on 1 second. Hey, pull me up on Clubhouse, Southern Force. They just shot me to the goo.
Oh, probably because I had the audio on. It was a little bit louder from the studio speakers.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I
shit. What happened? Let me get back in here. Hold on. Y'all done shot me. That's crazy, bro. How y'all gonna shoot me out the Damu Kiwe Conversation room, bro? That's crazy. But yeah, hey, Sam West, I tend to agree with you. Hey, Big Nuke, I'm finna put it in the chat for you right now, bro. You can hit that link and that there go the documentary. Let me finish this paperwork because we got about 10 more. Megan Davis, Miss Inglewood Blue, salute. I see we got the Keyways in here. They doing their thing. So look. So investigators, 2 weeks after Wack delivered the message to Shaquille O'Neal and Mark Stevens that Stutterbox got a motherfucking sex tape of Shaq, the nigga and TMZ will spend a lot of money for it. 2 weeks later, nigga Stutterbox get kidnapped from the Pink Dot, allegedly, right? Investigators asked Ross why Mark Stevens and or O'Neal would have Liddell Ross organize and execute the kidnapping robbery. Ross explained that early on with his negotiations with O'Neal, Ross brought O'Neal to the Main Street Crip neighborhood and introduced him to Dogg. O'Neal quickly realized that Ross was the leader of the Main Street Crips and befriended him. O'Neal funded a documentary for Rouse under his personal record label called Deja 34. Ross claims that O'Neal has been to the neighborhood on several occasions. In one of O'Neal's rap songs, Can't Stop the Rain, O'Neal acknowledges Ross and Ross by their gang monikers, Dogg and Box, and acknowledges the Main Street Crips. Investigators asked Ross how he was capable to escape from Rawls's house. He said he told Rawls that he had made a call to his mother and sister prior to his arrival at Rawls's house, and they would wonder what happened to him if he never made it home. Ross also promised Rawls that he would get him the tape and $60,000 in cash by 2 a.m. if he let him go. Rawls took all of Ross's keys except for one car key and a house key and allowed him to leave. Ross immediately drove to LAPD 77 Division and reported the incident. On July 23, 2008, at approximately 11:30 hours, investigators Fournier and Coet drove to an address on 104th, Los Angeles, to speak with Dogg regarding this case. Dogg was at the location with fellow Main Street Crip gang members Herb Brown, Deion Hawkins, Kevin Haran, and Robert Evans. Investigators walked approximately 60 feet away from the group to interview Ross. Investigators told Ross that Robert Ross made a criminal complaint listing him as a suspect of a kidnap, robbery, and assault. Ross said he has known Ross since they were kids. He denied any knowledge of the kidnap, robbery, and assault and said victim Ross is a liar. Ross could not provide any reason as to why victim Ross would implicate him in this case. Ross agreed to take a polygraph if provided the opportunity. No details We go to page 6. No details of the case were given to Ross as far as the location or the city where the crime occurred. On July 23, 2008, at approximately 12:35 hours, Kevin Horan called James Harbin and told him that sheriff detectives had just detained him along with other members of the gang and questioned Ross about Box, nicknamed for victim Ross, incident. Harbin asked Heron up on Sunset, referring to the location the kidnap occurred. At no time did investigators provide the location where the kidnap occurred. Harbin continued referring to his not being comfortable talking on the phone. Hey, bro, I don't know why you're talking about this on the phone. You know what I'm saying? Attached is a copy of the transcribed call between Heron and Harbin, which was intercepted pursuant to a federal Title III wiretap case referred to Session 2007-21. On July 23, 2008, at approximately 13:05, which is like 1:05, Dogg called James Harbin and told him he needed to talk to him about some serious stuff. Rouse said Ross put the police on him about kidnapping. Harbin said, "That's a long time ago. What's this bitch ass nigga doing now?" Referring to the kidnap occurring 5 months ago and wondering why Ross was reporting it now. Rouse told Harbin not to talk about it on the phone. Yeah, see, these niggas a little too loose at the lip. You know what I'm saying? On that phone, man. You know what I'm saying? So, attached is a copy of the transcribed call between Dogg and Harbin, which was intercepted pursuant to federal Title III wiretap case referred to Session 20,736. On July 30th, 2008, at approximately 9:30 hours, investigator Fournier and Shanka okay, I got that. Lou from the Lou. Salute. Thank you for the $10 cash app. Everything donated to the Damu Kiwe Conversation is appreciated. Shanka spoke with James Harbin on Broadway Avenue in Los Angeles. They told Harbin that Robert Ross made a police report listing him as a suspect of a kidnap, robbery, and assault. The information given to Harbin was that it occurred on February 10th into the 11th of 2008, the night of the Grammy Awards. Investigators told Harbin that Ross accused him of ordering him into Ross's vehicle at gunpoint and driving him back to Main Street Crip gang neighborhood. At no time did investigators indicate the location, Hollywood, where the kidnap occurred. Harbin denied any involvement or knowledge regarding the kidnapping of Ross. Investigators asked Harbin if he would be willing to submit to a polygraph examination. He said we should get Ross to submit because he lies. Investigators then asked Harbin if he would voluntarily submit to a DNA sample. He refused. On July 30th, 2008, at approximately 09:58 hours, James Harbin called Liddell Ross. So the same day, as soon as they let him go at 09:30 hours, not even 20 minutes later, this nigga calls Dogg to tell him about being questioned regarding the Robert Ross kidnapping. During their conversation, Harbin told Ross that bitch went to the police, referring to Ross making a police report. Ross tried to assure Harbin that the police couldn't close their case until they talked to everyone that Ross said was involved. He went on to say that the police were just trying to catch someone saying something different from the rest. Harbin told Ross, "I said I was staying at the homie's house that day. There can't be no different." Yeah, this is way too much, bro. There can't be no different shit. Dogg told Harbin that he didn't need all that coaching and that no one needed to talk to the police. Either they were going to arrest you or they were not. Yeah, nigga, we don't need no motherfucking coaching, nigga. Nigga don't need to talk to the police about nothing. They gonna lock us up or they not, nigga.
That part.
Later, during the conversation, Harbin told Dogg that the police tried to get him to submit to a DNA sample. Riles responded by saying he thought the police were just using different tactics. He said if they wanted to do that, cuz I feel like if the nigga was bloody and blood from a nigga got on that nigga, believe me, they would have done that shit as soon as they seen me. Although attempting to talk in code, Rawls was referring to his belief that the police would have asked him for DNA when interviewed on July 23rd because of Ross's blood transference onto Rose during the assault. Attached is a copy of the transcribed call between Harbin and Dogg, which was intercepted pursuant to federal Title III wiretap case. Refer to session 16938. On July 31st, 2008, at approximately 0008 hours, James Harbin received a call from fellow Main Street Crip gang member, a.k.a. 50 Cent. During the call, Harbin asked 50 Cent if he was out there that night with them. Harbin referred to the night as that shit that happened on Sunset with that nigga Box. 50 Cent agreed, saying, yeah, cuz I was with you. Harbin told Neater, you was with me, cuz? That bitch ass nigga, we found that nigga. Neater again agreed, saying it was Mo and you, cuz. Harbin told Neater about his being questioned earlier in the day by the sheriff. Harbin said Ross made a report but didn't press charges because if he had, they would be gone. Harbin expressed concern that the police knew everything regarding the kidnapping and was surprised the police hadn't gone over to the location where Neater was staying to question him. Attached is a copy of the transcribed call between Harbin and Neater, which was intercepted pursuant to Title III wiretap case. Refer to session 22-384. On July 31st, 2008, at approximately 17:25 hours, James Harbin received a phone call from fellow Main Street Crip gang member Shaq. Harbin told Heron that Ross went straight to the police to report the kidnap, robbery, and assault. Heron made a comparison between victim Ross and a scared little dog in a corner, saying he is biting back. Harbin agreed, saying he started biting back. You got him all cornered up. That was the last straw, taking all that bread in his jury and beating him up. Attached is a copy of the transcripts so these niggas then all implicated themselves. You know what I'm saying? Put themselves at the crime scene. You got this nigga talking about that. The last straw, they shouldn't have took all his bread in his jury and beating him up. You know what I'm saying? Attached is a copy of the transcribed call between Harbin and Heron, which was intercepted pursuant to a federal Title III wiretap case. Refer to sessions 22-572. On August 1st, 2008, at approximately 09:12 hours, James Harbin received a phone call from Liddell Rawls. Rawls wanted to know who said something to Pat Rat, Marlon Hunt, about Ross' incident. Harbin said, shit, he was there. Rawls responded saying, I mean, he was there, but I mean, he wasn't there when they swooped on us. Rawls was referring to Hunt being present during the assault, robbery, and kidnap, not when investigators Fournier and Coet detained Rawls for questioning. Harbin said Hunt asked him last night what was going on. Harbin assumed Hunt heard about the investigators questioning Rawls, then Harbin and became concerned for himself regarding his involvement. Harbin told Hunt if the sheriffs do come question him, he should wash his ass He should watch his ass and know what to say to him. Harbin told Lil West the same thing. Ross told Harbin that Hunt should not be walking up to people and talking about the incident and should just keep his mouth closed. Ross said Hunt talked to Deion Hawkins, and although Hawkins know what's going on, he shouldn't be saying anything. Ross said that's how niggas fuck up right there when they start running their mouths. You know what I'm saying? So Del Dog is saying you niggas is talking too much. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, on the phone is crazy right now.
Yeah, they laid that shit up.
It's crazy.
They ain't practicing no on that though.
But this fake paperwork Duse M made up. You know what I'm saying?
No, you can't make this shit up. You can't make this up.
So,
good, Deuce. What you talking about? Man?
Yeah, I did good.
Magnifying glass and everything.
You need to be a writer for a movie shit if you're gonna do all this.
It's a hell of a movie, nigga. Too.
Nah, this is Netflix, nigga.
Netflix.
This is Netflix, nigga. On August 2nd, 2008, at approximately 0859 hours, James Harbin received a phone call from Damu James. Harbin told James that the sheriffs have been following him because someone filed an assault and kidnap report. James asked if the case occurred in the sheriff's jurisdiction. Harbin said no, it was way out on Sunset. James asked when the crime occurred. Harbin said February. So he's on wiretap, confirming dates. Oh, this is nasty work.
Maybe he was the rat too. Maybe he was another rat.
Possibly. You got to always keep that in there, but it doesn't refer to him as it in here. But attached is a copy of the transcribed call between, because he can't be that slow, bro. And then Del Dog already told the nigga. But sometimes niggas just be spooked. You know what I'm saying? Nigga be spooky J and just be talking too much, bro, because they nervous, you know? So, Harbin and James, which was intercepted pursuant to federal Title III wiretap case, refer to session 22,925. Then on August 3rd, 2008, LAPD investigators received a call from victim Ross. Ross told them that he loaned his car to a friend, Clarence Galbert, a.k.a. Boo, on August the 2nd. Galbert called Ross saying several Main Street Crip gang members came to his house looking for Ross. Liddell Ross was among the group. Ross wanted Ross to come to Galbert's residence, at which time he would return his money and jewelry. Ross got on the phone with Ross and told him to go to Galbert's house and he would return his shit. Ross immediately hung up the phone and called the LAPD. LAPD dispatched several units to Galbert's residence and detained numerous individuals. Among the persons detained was Del Dog and Clarence Galbert. For additional information, refer to the LAPD records. So this nigga let somebody use his car. Check this out. I told you this on Netflix, right? So Stutterbox let one of his homies use his car. Niggas recognize his car at Galbert house, and they like, oh, this nigga Stutterbox over here. Hey, where the box at? Oh, man, he ain't here. Why his car right here? Oh, man, he let me use his car. Well, tell that nigga come over here. We got his jewelry and his money, man. Tell that nigga to pull up. That nigga called that nigga and told that nigga Stutterbox called LAPD, nigga, had the house ready.
Oh
shit.
I gotta be more quicker than that.
It was
God damn, nigga.
Sweating all the time.
Man. So Ross told investigators Fournier and Coed that he called Galbert after approximately 90 minutes had passed. Ross said he was mad at Galbert for putting Ross on the phone with him. You know what I'm saying? Galbert explained that Ross had just showed up and didn't give Galbert a choice about making the phone call to Ross. Galbert told Ross he thought Ross was sincere about returning his money and jewelry. Ross told Galbert that he had just gone So this nigga like, man, I thought he was really gonna give you your shit back. He told me to call you, so I called you. You know what I'm saying? To church, and felt Ross had done more good for him than bad, and just wanted to return his property. On August 5th, 2008, at approximately 09:22 hours, Liddell Rawls received a phone call from Mark Stevens, right? This is the wiretap, right? Remember all of this detailed information that the sheriffs have been putting into this investigative report, right? That Duse M couldn't write a Netflix movie like this, right? But here it goes, August 5th, the exact same date that they say CS2 back call, right? Liddell Rawls received a phone call from Mark Stevens. Rawls told Stevens that Ross had gone south, and the police have contacted him. Rawls said after church, he stopped over Boo's Clarence Galbert house. Ross told Galbert to get Ross on the phone. Ross told Stevens that Ross was scared to get on the phone. While talking with Ross, a police helicopter and police cars arrived. Attached is a copy of the transcribed call between Ross and Stevens, which was intercepted pursuant to federal Title III wiretap case referred to section 18202. So hold on. This wiretap, they summarized the wiretap, right? But this is the exact same date that CS2 back calls, right? Talking about he got to talk to Dogg. That box went sour. I talked to Dogg, right? This is the exact same date, bro. Let me get it.
Mind you,
that's the title of the movie right there. I talked to Dogg.
And there's only one difference on the on the actual wiretap where they talk about Wack and the Wack boy and all that shit. It says 09:22 hours, and on here it says 09:22 hours and 38 seconds to 09:29 minutes and 39 seconds. So they have the actual seconds included on the actual wiretap than in the investigative report. So it's very precise. So this phone call did happen between Mark Stevens and Dogg, and during that phone call, the paperwork we read about that phone call included CS2 back. You know what I'm saying? So, and the number matched also the session, the wiretap title 3 wiretap session is 18202, and that's the same session of the actual wiretap that says CS2 back, right? So on August 21st, 2008, at approximately 1300 hours, investigators went to LAPD Parker Center Jail to speak with Marlon Hunt, aka Pat Rat, who was in custody on an unrelated matter. Hunt admitted knowing victim Ross, but denied any knowledge of the kidnap, robbery, and assault. On August 26, 2008, at approximately 1403 hours, investigators Fournier and Coet went to Men's Central Jail to speak with Taekwon Wingate, SK, regarding this case. Prior to speaking with him, investigator advised him of his Miranda rights. Wingate said he understood his rights and agreed to speak with them without an attorney present. Investigators asked Wingate if he knew victim Ross and if he had any information regarding his case. Wingate told investigators that he had only heard of victim Ross and did not know him personally, and that he had no knowledge of the kidnap, robbery, and assault. Investigators, using a ruse, asked, how is it possible that his Wingate's fingerprints were in the rear seat of victim Ross's vehicle. So they're lying to him using the ruse, which is common tactic what the police do. That's why niggas say you don't believe the police over your homeboys. But 600 and Eddie Boy believe the police over Big U, right? But because the police can lie, bro. It's their job. Wingate said, wait, hold on, where was I at? Okay. So Wingate told investigators that he is on, okay, hold on, where we was at. Boom. Wingate said he was in Hollywood with his girlfriend Doris, NFD, when he saw several nice-looking cars parked along the road. Wingate said the cars were open, so he would get inside and look around. He said there must have been something big going on because there was paparazzi all around. Investigators asked Wingate if one of the vehicles he sat in was a Rolls Royce. He replied by saying yes. It was either a white or tan color Rolls Royce. It should be noted that victim Ross drove an off-white color Rolls Royce the night of the incident. Right?
Right.
Page 10. Right? On August 26, 2008, at 14 hours and 45 hours Pacific Standard Time, investigators placed a call to Mark Stevens' place of business, Deja 34 in Atlanta, Georgia. No one answered the phone, and investigators left a message on his voicemail. The message was as follows and was tape recorded on our end. Yes, hello, this is Detective Fournier with the LA County Sheriff's Department Homicide Bureau. This call is for Mark Stevens. Mr. Stevens, if you could return my call, I am investigating a robbery kidnap that occurred back in February of this year, 2008. Your name came up. I have some questions. You can reach me at 323, and he put the number out there. On September 9th, 2008, at approximately 11:45 hours, investigators spoke with Los Angeles police officers Obed Eves and Matthew Casalaccio via telephone. Both officers were working the desk at 77 Division on February 10th, 2008, and remember victim Ross coming into the station to report the kidnapping, robbery, and assault. The officer said victim Ross's face was cut and bleeding, and his clothes were bloody. They said victim Ross told them the crime occurred at 104th Street and Main Street in Los Angeles. The officer said they called Southeast Division and had a patrol vehicle dispatched to take a crime report. On September 11, 2008, at approximately 1300 hours, investigators interviewed Ray J. Norwood. I thought only the Crips got investigated. I thought Wack said, I ain't from Main Street. This was Crip on Crip. It ain't had nothing to do with me. Ain't Ray J a Pyru though? So they didn't just interview Pyrus. You know what I mean? Crips, they interviewed a couple Pyrus. So where Wack statement at? Anyway, Norwood is the rapper who victim Ross introduced to Mark Stevens to facilitate a recording contract with Koch Entertainment in New York. Norwood told investigators that he and Ross are neighbors and became friends. He learned that Ross had connections in the music industry and inquired about making a contact regarding a record deal. Ross introduced Norwood to Mark Stevens, the co-owner of Deja 34 record label based in Atlanta, Georgia. In November 2007, Ross traveled with Norwood to New York to meet with Mark Stevens at Koch Entertainment. Stevens made it clear that Ross would receive his fair cut, a percentage from sales, if Norwood was to sign with Koch Entertainment. After weeks passed, Ross learned that he would not be compensated for his involvement in the signing of Norwood. Koch Entertainment became impatient and threatened to call the deal off. Ross told Norwood to go ahead and sign the contract and that he would deal with his own issues with Stevens. It was Norwood's belief that Ross was not treated fairly and should have been compensated for his role in the project, especially after Stevens told him he would be compensated. Norwood told investigators that he acknowledged Ross on his latest album cover by writing "Box. Thanks for putting this whole deal together." So Money Mark Stevens did pull a dirtbag move on Box. You know what I'm saying? Wait, that was page what? Yeah, that was page 10. Page 11. On September 17, 2008, investigators interviewed Mark Edward Stevens at the Los Angeles. So we heard Stutterbox's statement to police. We heard Stutterbox call the police when he let his homie use his car, and then we just heard the interview that the sheriffs did with Ray J, right? Because everything goes back to the Ray J deal. Who did Ray J say was on that deal with him? CS2 back. So they interviewed Mark Edward Stevens at the LA County Sheriff's Homicide Bureau. Also present during the interview was Mr. Stevens' attorney, Nicholas Tarsich. That's who we got to interview, because Mark Stevens said his attorney is the one that told him, he like, man, I don't know no back. He said, nah, that's Wack. You know what I'm saying? So investigators asked Stevens how he first learned of the kidnap investigation regarding Robert Ross. Stevens, so first, remember, Stutterbox already implicated WACK100 and that he sent WACK100 with this blackmail message about the videotape. Now here come Mark Stevens to corroborate that. Stevens said after investigators left a message saying they wanted to talk to him regarding the kidnapping and assault investigations occurring in LA, he deducted that Ross was the victim. He believed this because several months ago he received a phone call from Ross's brother and recording artist Ray J telling him that Ross had been beaten up. Stevens later said he received calls from Ross's brother and Cash Jones. Stevens claimed no knowledge of the kidnapping. Stevens told investigators that he is the business partner and longtime friend of Shaquille O'Neal. Together, they own a recording company called Deja 34 Enterprises. They have known Robert Ross for the past 4 to 5 years. Ross was well known in the LA area and knew a lot of recording artists. When artists would be looking for a recording contract, they would contact Ross, who would broker the deal. During the latter part of 2007, Ross introduced the recording artist Ray J to Stevens. Ross flew with Ray J to New York to meet the executives from Koch Entertainment. Ray J signed a recording contract with Koch Entertainment. Ross was paid $20,000 for a finder's fee by Deja 34, according to Stevens. Ross thought he should have been paid a percentage of the total deal and was not happy with this amount he received. Stevens said there was no contract for Ross's involvement in the deal and felt he was adequately compensated. During the same period of time, O'Neal and Stevens felt Ross was causing too much bad publicity for them because he had been arrested for possession of a firearm and was dropping O'Neal's name to police when stopped for a traffic violation. O'Neal and Stevens therefore made the decision to sever all ties with Stutterbox. Within the next couple, right? So now within the next couple months, Stevens received a voicemail message from Stutterbox stating, "I need to talk to you, man. The big fella, he's slipping. He's making a lot of mistakes." Soon after, Steven received a call from Cash Jones. Jones told him that Ross had a videotape of Shaquille O'Neal having sex with a woman, not his wife, at Box's house, and that Box could take the tape to TMZ and get a lot of money. Imagine, I said, hey, check this out. Hey, Fam West, go tell that nigga Southern Force I got videotape of him fucking a bitch that ain't even his wife. You know what I'm saying? In my house, nigga. And TMZ will pay a lot of money for this motherfucker. So, nigga, that nigga owe me some money. So yeah, just go tell that nigga that. You know what I'm saying? And you actually go do that. That's a conspiracy to blackmail. That's a conspiracy to extortion. So not only do you got Stutterbox saying he sent Wack to do that, now you got Mark Stevens saying, yeah, he did come to me and Shaq with that message. You know what I'm saying? So investigators asked Stevens if Ross, Jones, or anyone else. Oh, on TMZ, we got a lot of money. Investigators asked Stevens where he was during the evening of February 10th, 2008. He first said he was in Las Vegas when he received the phone calls from Ross's brother and Cash Jones telling him about Ross being assaulted. So Wack is the one telling him, yeah, the nigga Box got kidnapped. He got assaulted and all of this shit, right? Wack is on the phone and all up in this mix, bro.
Same shit he do, yeah.
Same shit with this big UK.
Nasty work.
Nasty motherfucking work. Stevens later said, I ain't got nothing to do with no I ain't from Main Street. I ain't never stepped a foot in Main Street. See, he tries to use the gang divide to distance himself. But even though the Main Streets were outsourced, allegedly outsourced, to do the alleged kidnapping, assault, and robbery of Stutterbox, if you believe that theory, it was really more from a record deal gone bad. It was really something that had to do with Deja 34 Enterprises, right? And a deal gone bad, and it was that circle. You know what I'm saying? Who would know more about it? What's going on? That's why they interview Ray J. That's why they interview Mark Stevens, and that's why they interview Shaq. So he said Cash Jones is the one that told him, Cash Jones and Stutterbox's brother, the one that told him about Box getting assaulted and robbed and all of that. However, it was 3 to 4 days after the assault occurred. Stevens later said he thought he was in New Orleans on the night of the incident. However, he would have to check his calendar when he returned. Right? Wait, what page was that? Oh, that was page 11. So Cash Jones all through this. Bam. Investigators asked when he got back home, he'll check his calendar when he got back to Atlanta. Investigators asked Stevens if he was acquainted with any members of the Main Street Crip gang. Stevens said he met Lil Shaq, West, Big Herb, Dale Dogg, and Gumby through Stutterbox when him and Shaq helped fund the food and toy drive. Additionally, Stevens and O'Neal's company filmed a documentary about the Main Street Crip gang. Investigators asked Stevens if he associated on a personal level with any of the Main Street Crip gang members. He said neither he nor O'Neal had that type of relationship with any of the members of the Main Street Crip gang. Stevens did admit that he would talk on occasions to Liddell Rawls. He claimed it was on a business level because Rawls organized 3 events throughout the year: a food drive around Thanksgiving, a toy drive around Christmas, and another food drive during the summer. Stevens said he last received a phone call from Rawls about a month ago asking if he was still coming to Los Angeles for the summer food drive. Rawls would call sporadically just to check in, and then heavily around Thanksgiving and Christmas when he needed funding for the food and toy drive. Stevens said it was strictly business dealing with Rawls. He would only call Rawls to return his phone calls. Stevens claimed that he never initiated a phone call. Stevens denied that Rawls ever phoned him to tell him about the kidnapping and assault. Investigators asked Stevens if O'Neal ever suspected Ross of having an affair with his wife, Shani. He said there was an innuendo around the time when they severed ties with Ross. However, he had no personal knowledge of an affair. At one point during the interview, Stevens talked hypothetically regarding the sex tape, saying, I bring a girl to your house to do whatever, to eat lunch, have sex, party, whatever, but I leave. And you recognize this on the tape. You see it on the tape and you say, hey, Mark, this happened. If it sounded like it happened, then she had to tell you it happened, or you got a tape. It's one of the two because you wasn't there. But for 7 months, you had this information and you never brought it to me. You wait until our relationship sours. So you already have a motive for having this information, whether you use it as an ace card to get money or whatever. Investigators found this statement interesting because it is exactly how Ross said it happened. Ross brought some girls to his house with O'Neal. Ross left the house for a period of time. He returned home and checked the surveillance footage and found O'Neal having sex with one of the women that Ross invited to his home. Yeah, that nigga Stutterbox was on some creep shit the whole time.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah.
So
nasty.
Yeah, because if I got you on tape, first I don't even want to see you on tape. But if I go through my security and I'm like, oh, that nigga knocked the bitch down on my couch. Well, at least the nigga cleaned the shit up. Hey, nigga, why you didn't tell me you did all that? What you mean? Look, bro, I got the tape. You want me to destroy it? You want it? It's you and the bitch. Oh, no, man, destroy the shit. I'm going to destroy it. I'm not finna be holding that, but the nigga got money. See that in LA, and that game played at a different level, man. These niggas be trying to gain leverage.
He like, oh shit. He said, hell yeah, they done fucked me out the deal too. Oh yeah, I'm about to get this shit.
Yeah, but this was before they fucked him out the deal. You know what I'm saying? That's why he had a corrupted heart from the beginning, bro.
Grimy ass.
Yeah,
It's him to do that shit from get-go. That shit lame as hell.
He had him in the video and everything. Remember that
all right, CJ. Wack say he got Black Sam paperwork. Let's see how it take him to produce it. Yeah, right. But hold on. Let me get back to it because this is Shaquille O'Neal's interview with the sheriff department, right? On September 23rd, 2008, investigators interviewed Shaquille O'Neal in a locker room at the Gallon Center, Los Angeles. You know, USC fighting the Trojans. Dun, 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 dun. You know what I'm saying? Also present during this interview was Mr. O'Neal's attorney, Nicholas Tonsich. Investigators asked O'Neal if he knew why he was being interviewed. O'Neal said that he was believed it had something to do with the Robert Ross kidnapping, robbery, and assault. We asked O'Neal what his relationship was with victim Ross. O'Neal said he had known victim Ross for approximately 4 to 5 years. He was unsure who introduced him to the victim, but believes it was at a party in LA. O'Neal said Ross knew a lot of people and assisted him in networking around Los Angeles. He knew Ross was from a gang neighborhood, Main Street Crips, and was trying to help Ross better himself. Ross introduced O'Neal to several members of the Main Street Crips while doing toy donations in South Central Los Angeles. Some of the nicknames of the gang members he met were Dogg and Lil Shaq. On several occasions, Dogg called O'Neal's partner, Mark Stevens, and asked for basketball tickets when he was playing with the LA Lakers. O'Neal claimed that he never spoke personally with Dogg over the phone. On one occasion, Ross gave O'Neal a necklace with diamonds depicting a bulldog. Ross told him it was a gift from Dogg. O'Neal had a juror duplicate the necklace and returned the original to Ross to return to Dogg. He said he did not feel right about receiving such a lavish gift from Dogg. As time went by, Ross began getting in trouble with the police. On several occasions, Ross would tell the police that he was with O'Neal in an effort to avoid arrests or citations. O'Neal told investigators that in 2007, Ross brought the rapper Ray J to Koch record label through his partner, Mark Stevens. There was a disagreement over the money between Ross and Stevens. However, he did not know the details of their agreement. Due to Ross's numerous negative contacts with law enforcement, O'Neal severed ties with Ross approximately 1 year ago. O'Neal believed it would be bad for his image to continue his affiliation with Ross. Ross continued to try to contact O'Neal by way of his personal assistants and through Mark Stevens. Earlier in the year, Ross told Stevens he had a sex tape of O'Neal. O'Neal believed it was Ross's attempt to get O'Neal to call him. O'Neal said during that time period, he and his wife were in the process of getting a divorce and did not care if Ross went public with the tape. If in fact the tape existed, he told Stevens to pass that message to Ross. So Shaq said, nigga, I'm already going through a divorce with my wife. Nigga, I don't give a fuck about her finding out about that tape. Investigators told O'Neal that Ross alleged he had ordered the kidnapping and had Stevens placed the call. What, Sky? Okay, wait. Oh, she hungry. Wait, what time is it? 7:33. Okay, I'm going to feed you in a minute. Get in. All right. And so in an attempt to get the sex tape, O'Neal adamantly denied this accusation and said neither he nor Stevens were involved with the crime. Investigators told O'Neal that they had proof that Stevens was in contact with members of the Main Street Crips on or around the day of the kidnapping. Investigators asked O'Neal if Stevens would order such a violent crime to protect him without his knowledge or consent. O'Neal said he has known Stevens for many years and does not believe he would commit such an act. Our interview was concluded, right? So on August 28, 2008, investigators wrote a search warrant for cellular phones and cell sites for the above-mentioned individuals. The warrant was signed by the Honorable Judge Roger Ito. So Judge Ito was at Norwalk Superior Court. The search warrant was then faxed to both T-Mobile and Sprint Nextel corporations. Investigators received information from T-Mobile that they maintained cell site information for a period of 6 months and that the time had expired for the cell site information requested. They did, however, say that the incoming and outgoing calls are available for the numbers requested: Victim Ross, Mark Stevens, and Deion Hawkins. The information returned from Sprint Nextel shows cell site tower hits from the phones belonging to James Harbin and Marlon Hunt in the Hollywood area around the time of the kidnapping. The information from both cellular companies showed a flurry of calls from Mark Stevens to Liddell Ross and from Liddell Ross to James Harbin, Deion Hawkins, Marlon Hunt, and Taekwon Wingate at or around the time of the kidnapping. On November 8, 2008, investigators spoke with Deion Hawkins, male black, at Century Sheriff Station regarding the victim's kidnapping. Prior to speaking with him, investigators advised Mr. Hawkins of his Miranda rights. Mr. Hawkins said that he would speak with us without an attorney present and signed the Miranda rights waiver card. Mr. Hawkins said he knows Victim Ross's stutterbox from their street gang, Main Street Crips, that he hasn't known him for many years. He said he and Stutterbox were roommates for a while and that he is a liar. Mr. Hawkins denied any knowledge of or involvement in the incident. Our interview was terminated. While reviewing wiretap phone calls from James Harbin, investigators heard a conversation between Harbin and 50 Cent. The conversation was about Ross's kidnapping case. Harbin was telling 50 Cent that the sheriffs had visited him and attempted to interview him regarding the case. 50 Cent said that he remembered the incident kidnapping and reminded Harbin that 50 Cent was with them when they located Victim Ross in Hollywood. Harbin said, oh yeah, that's right, you was there. So that's the conclusion of the 14 pages of paperwork on what you call it. I told y'all we was gonna bury this bitch. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why the 100 EBT niggas want to play with us, bro. Don't they know who the fuck they fucking with?
Telling you.
Yeah. So let me get into this real quick, right? And we gonna close this because it's already been 3 hours, nigga. So we're going to go back over some of the things we went. The pink dot incident. According to the report, let's get to this. Boom. The Robert Ross files the paperwork. We'll start up there. So, welcome back to the Damu Kiwe Conversations. I'm Duse M. We got Southern Force Fam West TV. Like I said, tonight, we're not doing internet gossip. We're not doing Clubhouse rumors. Tonight, we're walking through actual investigative documents connected to one of the wildest stories to ever sit in the background of hip-hop industry politics. And that story involves allegations surrounding Robert Ross, Shaquille O'Neal, Mark Stevens, Ray J, Cash Jones, also known as WACK100, and several individuals alleged to be members of the Main Street Crips. The documents we're looking at tonight come from the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department Major Crimes Bureau. Those reports detail an investigation into an alleged kidnapping, robbery, and assault that Robert Ross reported occurred February 10th, 2008 in West Hollywood. Now, before we go further, this is important. These documents contain allegations, witness statements, and investigative notes. They are not courtroom findings, but they do show exactly what investigators were told and how the investigation unfolded. And once you actually read the paperwork, you realize this story is way deeper than what people talk about online. So tonight, we walk through it piece by piece. The pink dot incident, right? According to the report, Ross told investigators that on February 10th, 2008, he drove to the Pink Dot store on Sunset Boulevard in West Hollywood. He arrived around 10 p.m. and parked in the driveway area. Ross said he was speaking with an acquaintance when he noticed a man he knew named Wood. Wood allegedly pulled up in a truck and got out. A few minutes later, 3 additional vehicles arrived. Ross told investigators that the vehicles blocked his car from leaving. Harbin then approached Ross and told him that someone named Dogg wanted to see him. According to Ross, Dogg was Liddell Ross, also known as Dogg, who investigators described as a leader within the Main Street Crips. Ross claimed multiple men were present, including Deion Hawkins, Marlon Hunt, Taekwon Wingate. Ross told investigators he believed the men were armed. Harbin allegedly told Ross, all the homies are strapped. If we wanted to kill you, we would kill you. Ross said Harbin then called Ross and told him, we got him. Ross claimed he heard Ross respond, if he tries to get away, do him. Ross said he was then forced into his car at gunpoint in order to drive to South Los Angeles. So, the assault claim, right? Ross told investigators he was taken to a residence in the Main Street Crips neighborhood. He said the home belonged to someone known as Big Herb. Ross claimed he was taken inside where several men were waiting. According to the report, Ross said he was punched repeatedly in the head and body. He told investigators that Ross struck him in the face with a 4-5. Ross said he remained there for about an hour. During that time, he claimed threats were made against him. Ross said Ross told him, I've been waiting to get my hands on you. Ross also claimed Ross said Mark and Shaq know who the real boss is now. Ross said after the beating, he was taken to a studio area behind the house. Ross told investigators the men took a diamond necklace, a Rolex watch, and 15 diamond earrings and $15,000. That nigga Stutterbox told him everything, and they demanded $100,000 in the videotape. And that's where this story takes a turn into the music business. The Ray J deal. Ross told investigators the dispute started over a record deal involving Ray J. Ross said he introduced Ray J to Mark Stevens, a music executive connected to Deja 34 Enterprises. Stevens also reportedly a business partner of Shaquille O'Neal. Ross claimed he helped broker a meeting with Koch Entertainment in New York. Ray J later signed a deal with Koch. Ross told investigators he expected to receive a percentage of the deal, but according to Ross, Stevens later told him he would receive no money. Ross said he then tried contacting Shaq to resolve the dispute. The sextape claim, right? Now here's the part that pushed the situation into dangerous territory. According to Ross's statement to investigators, Ross told Stevens and O'Neal that he had surveillance footage from his house showing O'Neal with another woman. Ross later admitted to investigators that the footage had been recorded over and he never downloaded it. Ross told investigators he had been bluffing about the tape to pressure Stevens into paying him money he believed he was owed. The report states that Ross had a friend named Cash Jones deliver a message tape, and investigators noted that the alleged kidnapping occurred about 2 weeks after that message was delivered. These is key points y'all got to remember. The investigation. Now here's where the 2 pages that we went through became important. The case was initially handled by West Hollywood Sheriff's Station, but because several suspects were connected to an ongoing federal investigation into the Main Street Crips, the case was transferred to the Major Crimes Bureau. Investigators Paul Fournier and Michael Coet took over the investigation, and they had a strategy. According to the report, investigators deliberately attempted to stimulate conversations between suspects so those conversations could be captured on federal wiretaps. Be careful out here. They expected the suspects to talk, and they wanted those conversations recorded. Be careful, bro, what y'all doing out here if you in them streets. The wiretaps. Wiretap recordings later captured several conversations. One conversation allegedly involved Kevin Heron calling James Harbin. Heron told Harbin that sheriff detectives had detained him and other gang members of the gang and questioned them about the Ross incident. Harbin reportedly referred to Ross as Box. Later that same day, investigators say Ross called Harbin. Ross reportedly said Ross had gone to the police about the kidnapping. Harbin allegedly responded, "That's a long time ago. What's this dude doing now?" This is what they were talking about on this wiretap, bro. This is part of why they got indicted, right? So police asked him to submit to a polygraph test. Investigators then asked him to provide a DNA sample. He also refused all of that. Phone records. Investigators later reviewed cell phone records connected to several individuals. The report states the phone data showed numerous calls between suspects around the time of the incident. Those calls included communication between Mark Stevens, Liddell Ross, Money Mark Stevens and Dale Dogg, James Harbin, Deion Hawkins, Taekwon Wingate. However, several individuals interviewed by investigators denied participating in the kidnapping and the assault. Shaquille O'Neal, right? Investigators also interviewed Shaq. O'Neal told investigators he had known Ross for several years. Ross had introduced him to some members of the Main Street Crips. during a charity event, which is common. There's no crime in that. O'Neal denied any involvement in the kidnapping or the assault. He said he eventually cut ties with Stutterbox because Box was bringing unwanted legal attention. O'Neal also said Ross had previously told him about a videotape, but he believed Ross was simply trying to get him to return his calls. So, to close this, when you step back and you look at everything, this entire situation was a mix of music industry business disputes, street politics, personal relationships, and a federal gang investigation happening at the same damn time. And the biggest takeaway here is this. Most people talking about this story online have never even read the paperwork. But once you read the paperwork and the documents, you see exactly what investigators were looking at. Phone calls, wiretaps, witness statements, and an alleged kidnapping that sits right in the middle of the hip-hop industry's history. Tonight, we are examining series of the Title III federal wiretap transcripts connected to an investigation involving Robert Ross, also known as Stutterbox, Shaquille O'Neal, Mark Stevens, and individuals tied to the Main Street Crips. The intercepted call took place on August 5th, 2008. It lasted just over 7 minutes. During the call, Mark Stevens tells Dogg that someone identified as CS2 Back, nicknamed Back, wants Dale's phone number. According to the transcript, Back needs to talk to Dale. It's important. The conversation revolves around an incident involving Robert Ross, known by the name Box. At one point, the report states Box went sour. In street language, that usually means the nigga telling or the nigga did something foul, right? But the transcript raises an even more interesting question. It says that Back warned that the phone lines might be compromised. In other words, someone believed that the phones were tapped. And remember, this was a federal Title III wiretap. So the obvious question became, how did Back know that was tapped? Was it his instinct, street paranoia, or did Stutterbox telling on him get him caught up on the wiretap? Mark Stevens' phone, and investigators believe Stevens was involved in gang business and operations, but things become even more interesting when we look at the confidential source report. According to federal documents, CS2 did not have deep knowledge of the organization. The report says CS2 only had limited information about the gang's activities and structure. It even states CS2 refused to testify in court because he feared retaliation, believing the gang might orchestrate his execution if they learned out he was cooperating. But here's why the story takes another turn. I personally interviewed Mark Stevens. Mark Stevens told me he does not know anyone named Back and claims he never spoke to any person by that name. Instead, Mark Stevens told me that his lawyers told him that Back in the paperwork is Wack. So if Back is really Wack, it shouldn't have never said confidential source number 2 Back, aka the Wack boy. It should have said confidential source number 2 Wack, aka the Wack boy. This is the Damu Kiwe Conversation. We out.
Salute.